sun shining down on my face. I'm running away. You're in a toxic relationship. Time to be free.
got off the wires. When I close my eyes, disconnected and tired. I see shots fired. It's shots fired. I was wrong, but I made it right. You came begging day and night. I don't wanna hit the bottom. Don't go out of your state of mind. I've been counting 1 to 10. I'll be back when you be dim. With my music together again.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between two people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Complexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. Their 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40 mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
not sure there's lots of predictions for a fast race. The quality at the pointy end of this grid is the best we've ever seen. Qualifying one yesterday, we had 18 cars covered by a second. It was so fiercely competitive. This place will play a role as well. Race control, right in the middle of the screen, is James Taylor. He's the race director for this race. His mandate this weekend, it's RPM, respect, patience, and moment, as in one moment, change during the day. So he's been beating that into the drivers over the course of the weekend. It must be said on Friday, varying levels of success, and they've got better and better over the course of the weekend.
Johnny, the guys were standing on the bridge beyond Iceberg Hill corner there because that's the short coming down towards it. It's also a bit like the front wall of a rugby school. There's things going on in the dark there that you don't really want to talk about.
No, true. And you just wonder whether one or two think they might get away with something they couldn't do it from daylight. Let's hope not. We've also had a number of cars crashed early on in the weekend this year. We've got that out of our system now, and we can go for some clear laps. And we're trying to avoid the safety car where possible. I mean, I quite like the safety car here because it does bunch the field up and it gives one or two a chance. They don't have we run different forms of cautions here. And it very much brings in pro-am teams as well from a great overall result. That's something else we've done about Bathurst 12 hour. You don't have to run a full pro line to get the top 6, maybe the top 3.
The Pirelli pit bunker is going to be the perfect place to dissect the action here today at Bathurst. Let's check out some race facts. We're due for a checkered flag at around 5:45 here local time, which means 270 to 300 laps, which is the equivalent distance of Melbourne to Brisbane, or for the Euros, about London down to Madrid. Now, lots to talk about here. We'll touch shortly on what's happened here with last night's pole time, but we're looking at about 10 pit stops across the course of the day, which will equate to a fuel window of about 30 to 40 laps. So what does that look like in terms of a race strategy? Well, let's go back to 2017, which is probably the best strategy we ever saw. The Maranello team blitz through the field. They started the day, Tony Villander drove the car twice, came in handed to Craig Lowndes, came in handed to Jamie Winker, another stint for Craig Lowndes, double stint for Villander at the end of the day, and then bang over to Jamie Winker to finish it off. What does it look like in terms of driver time? Villander that day went 4 hours 20 minutes, same with Winker. Craig Lowndes doing about an hour less in the middle, so it's a lot to dissect, but I think we're going to see very similar strategies to what's happened here. When you look at your driver time, you're not allowed to do more than 4 hours and 40 minutes. Managing this driver time, particularly in very hot conditions, is going to be key to winning the Liquid Moly Bathurst 12 out here today.
Brilliant scenes on the grid. It's gradually beginning to be cleared. If I look out over Harris Park, there are still people coming in this morning at 20 minutes before 6 o'clock. They'll have this extraordinary opening to the race. No darkness practice, remember. So if you're a rookie here and you're starting the race, you've never seen this track.
Green light, go, go, go.
Also, if you're coming to us on the international feed for the first time, the 12 hours starts when the Mercedes E63 safety car rules of the race because of the darkness. It makes perfect sense, really. I'll ask you to predict the race results, guys, but I'm going to say Prelzy.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a $1 million question, almost quite literally multi-million when you take into account the value of this field. I'm not sure there's lots of predictions for a fast race. The quality at the pointy end of this grid is the best we've ever seen. Qualifying one yesterday, we had 18 cars covered by a second. It was so fiercely competitive. This place will play a role as well. Race control, right in the middle of the screen, is James Taylor. He's the race director for this race. His mandate this weekend, it's RPM, respect, patience, and moment, as in one moment, change during the day. not sure that lots of predictions for a fast race. The quality at the pointy end of this grid is the best we've ever seen. Qualifying one yesterday, we had 18 cars covered by a second. It was so fiercely competitive. This place will play a role as well. Race control, right on the screen, is James Taylor. He's the race director for this race. His mandate this weekend is RPM, respect, patience, and moment, as in one moment can change everything.
welcome to the GTR24H Sprint Series here from Mount Panorama in Bathurst. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic race, and first of all, apologies to everyone who's been waiting for a stream for quite a while, but we've had about everything that can go wrong has gone wrong so far, so that's why we've not been on the air just yet, but we're here now, and with just 10 minutes left in qualifying. Yeah, this is going to be a fantastic race. We have lots of drama at the end of last race as well, so yeah, I'm thoroughly looking forward to this race at Mount Panorama, that's for sure.
Yeah, Ewan, pleasure to be here alongside you as well. And I'm not going to lie, I don't like how you started that off, because that feels like a little bit of a curse. And Ewan, if anything else goes wrong now, I am 100% going to blame you for it.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, to be fair. I probably have just jinxed the whole thing, if I'm honest. So sorry to everyone when the whole server dies and everyone's booked off or something like that. Yeah, I apologise for that.
Hashtag blame Ewan in the chat.
Yeah, there you go. You can all blame me now. But there you go. Let's just update you what's happening in qualifying right now, because we've not been on the air for the first 15 minutes of it. So yeah, let's just update you on what is going on. Pierluca Amato is currently on the top of the timing sheets ahead of Alessio Pucedo in second. Johannes Weiss is currently driving for Butler Powell, and he's in third. Then Jesper Pedersen is in fourth, and Tim Yarshall is in fifth, and winner last round as well is that number 58. So we're expecting good things from those guys, but yeah, a late qualifying or appearance from us, I guess you could say, and yeah, we're going to hopefully see guys very committed over the top throughout the rest of this qualifying session, because that's what you really need at Mount Panorama to have a good qualifying lap. You really need to be very committed, especially when it gets all tight at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, and speaking of being tight at the top of something, it is tight at the top of the championship as well, Ewan. Bathurst is sitting on 68 points with Moscow GD on 60. And may I remind you guys as well that these are the only two teams, if I am not mistaken, actually, sorry, 2 of 3 teams that have picked up points in every single race of the 5 races, or pardon me, of the 4 races we have had so far this season, as Tim Yarshall really getting close to the wall.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of that as the weekend or the night, excuse me, unfolds. But yeah, let's just skip around and see what's really going on. It's kind of hard to catch everyone going over the line here, so yeah. Forgive us if we miss one or two, because I'm completely in control of the cameras right now, which is dangerous, so hopefully it goes well. But yeah, still...
As said, Ewan, nothing else can go wrong.
No, now that I had that intro, nothing's going to go wrong at all, so we'll be fine. But currently looking up and down the order, I can't see third place in the championship AAA Esports for the second week out, so it looks like they've unfortunately departed from this series, or maybe they will come back later on. But it's very good to see 24 cars on the grid. That's a very healthy group of cars, but it is a little bit disappointing to see AAA having had such a good start to the season, and seeing that they're not here quite as often as they were before.
Yeah, and we talked about this as well last time out at Hungary. You know, they were battling with Bathurst Esports at the top of the standings. Then, you know, we missed them at Hungary, we're missing them again. Hopefully they will decide to return at some point, as we have seen some fantastic racing from them. They were the winners from round 1, so it would be a shame to see them go. But I guess the focus is going to be shifting from AAA over to the new team, the Euronics Intel. Obviously, Euronics already had their Razor lineup, but with a second team, came in, 1 race, 1 win at Hungary, and I'm very excited to see how that team will be able to perform tonight.
I don't think that's actually their first race, but it is definitely their first point-scoring finish, which is very kind of surprising, really.
As it didn't compete. It sounded cooler.
Well, that's true, to be honest. It makes them look better, doesn't it? So they'll be patting you on the back for that one. So there you go. But yeah, I believe they've done all the rounds. They definitely did Spa. I remember them being at Spa because they nearly won, but they ended up not scoring. But they haven't the front since. So it was good to see them up the front last week, but of course you wouldn't know that because you weren't here for that one. So that was just me and Peter actually doing that one at Spa. But yeah, they didn't finish in the end, unfortunately. Fortunately for them, fortunately for AAA, because they managed to win that race by just 3 seconds, and a good race it was. We're hoping for another good one here today. Going to look to see who's really going to be setting the pace in qualifying here. It doesn't look like anybody's really setting the times a lot at the moment, but one thing I am very pleased to see is the car on your screen right now. The Honda is up the front of the order, and that is very pleasing for me, because yeah, it certainly looks very good. It doesn't sound very good, but it definitely looks good.
Yeah, and that's the Butler Pal Motorsports car of Johannes Weiss, which is currently sitting at 10th in the championship. Only able to pick up 6 points at last time out at Hungary as it makes its way through the S's and now down into the infamous dipper. And it's just so easy here at Bathurst just to run into the wall through the S's, as actually Johannes Weiss decides to make a little kissy with the wall there on the exit.
He decided to demonstrate to us what he exactly meant by that, because almost as soon as he said it, he was heading towards the fence. So yeah, there you go. Johannes Weiss just briefly in the wall, but he's off and going. I wouldn't expect there to be any damage, although he is taking a little bit of a straight line into the chase, but he'll be absolutely fine with that. He'll get a couple more laps of this one. Still 4.5 minutes to go. He's still going to have a couple more laps here in qualifying to really set some times alight. Just going to see what Timmy Arshaw's going to do for us, because actually never mind, Richard Schaefer's improving by nearly a second here, and a second improvement would put him right into second place. So yeah, this is a good lap time from Schaefer, and another Honda doing very well indeed.
Yeah, and we talked as well, and I know you love to talk about what cars are we going to see at what track. And it looks like it's going to be the Hondas. Last time out, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Porsches that were really, really quick. And I also want to just take a look. Where is our man Pedersen? He's not in the Lexus today. He is in the Audi. So finally, we're seeing a switch of car from the Burst Esports team.
Yeah, and that was very surprising to me. I thought they were going to go for the Lexus all season long, but yeah, there you go. They've gone for the Audi. That's a big surprise. Maybe we'll see how they get on with it, because they haven't been driving this car. Unless they've driven it on their own accord. They haven't driven this car in preparation for this series, at least for 2 months. He's just pulling over there to presumably abandon a lap time. But Richard Schaefer, who we were just watching there in a moment ago, just got up into third position, just ahead of his teammate Johannes Weiss. They're now separated by just less than a tenth of a second, and just approaching the final 3 minutes of qualifying. It's all getting very close at the top of the timing sheets, and considering this track is so long and so difficult, I'm very surprised to learn that the top 6 are separated by a second. So it's just showing how very, very close this series is right now.
And especially at a track like Bathurst as well, where it's so easy to find those places to gain. And usually we talk about these little things you can do to make up a tenth and, that kind of amount. But here at Bathurst, you find that little bit, and it could give you, almost half a second, because the S's are just so long. The chase can find you so much time as well as the end of Sector 1. So great to see so many cars so close to each other here. But again, we talk about the difference between qualifying pace and then race pace. What cars can go further on a set of fuel? And, well, Jesper Pedersen, I think we all know what happened last time out at Hungary. Yeah,
absolutely. He was going forever on a set of tyres and a set of fuel, or a tank of fuel.
Or was it Casper?
I think it was Henningsen, thinking about it actually. Now that I've said it aloud, I think it was Henningsen. But Alessio Picedo just come across the line there. I thought he was going to take pole, but he did improve. Only that Pierluca Amato improved further. He's on a 2 minutes flat at the moment, and Edo is on a 2 minutes .1. So it's very close at the top between those two, but Mercedes definitely look to be the strongest. I know I do talk about the differences between the cars a lot, but they've got 3 cars in the top 6, which is very impressive. Another impressive manufacturer at the moment is Honda, with a couple in the top 4 there as well. So yeah, 2 cars running very well at the moment. As Yarshall comes across the line, he goes into the top 3, so it's a Mercedes 1, 2, 3, and they're going to be very pleased with that as we close out this qualifying session in a moment.
The Mercedes and Honda reigning supreme here at Bathurst Mount Panorama. We'll see whether Schaefer and Weiss can spoil the German 1, 2, 3. Maybe Pedersen can make it a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the German manufacturers. We see Pierluca Amato in one of those notorious Mercedes, making his way down the hill and down towards the chase. He can carry so much speed, but it's all about spotting your braking point. Is he actually on a lap, or has he pulled out?
Can't quite tell personally, but he looks to be going pretty fast anyway. I'm not sure if he's improving or not. He's actually 2 temps down here, so he might just pull into the pit lane, and he's definitely backed off now. Well, he could have gone again, but he's decided to go for the pit lane, as has Pusado. We'll see what Team Yarshall's got, but I think he's going to be probably backing off at some point. Mikkel Mo's the only one who's really improving as we look down the order. Dan Kelly's also actually, and he's just coming across the line now, so where's this going to jump him up to? Currently 17th, and he goes up to 13th, which is a big improvement. He gets very narrow at Bathurst, particularly at the start of the race, so a 4-position improvement like that is going to be very useful to Dan Kell.
Yeah, Mikkel Mo, he's on a lap as well in the Audi. Whereabouts is he sitting? 15th in the number 55 car as he makes his way down the Conrod straight into the chase. Not many more people on a lap. I think Weiss and Pedersen are also on laps. We'll have to keep an eye out for them, as it is still Mercedes 1 and 2. Schaefer and Weiss Schaefer and Weiss are 4th and 5th in the Hondas. As here comes Mikkel Mo across the line, and it is P10.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good lap time from him there. So he's jumped up another 5 or so positions. So yeah, good from him. And then one more man just going up the order a little bit. Simon Crane there into 17th from 19th, where he was just a moment ago. And I believe Ross McGregor might be improving here as well as he's coming towards the final corner. It doesn't look like it's going to be a stratospheric improvement, but he might get a position out of this one just ahead of Dan Kell, and he does indeed. 14th position for Ross McGregor, but Pierluca Amato, pole position for him, and not in his trusty Porsche. He's been in the Porsche for 3 times out of the 4 races so far, but he's gone for the Mercedes on this occasion, and it's worked out pretty well for him, you have to say.
Yep, it has indeed, and you know, we always come back to the case of what cars are stronger at what circuit. Mercedes and Honda, it seems, are good here at Bathurst, and you'd have to think it would come down to that just sheer horsepower of the cars. Some very long straights, especially you've got the mountain straight and then the Conrod straight at the back of the circuit, and well, let's just see if it can pay dividends in the race as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a big overtaking opportunity, possibly down those couple of straights you mentioned there, the Conrod Straight and down Mountain Straight into Griffin's Bend. I believe it's called Griffin's Bend, isn't it? Turn 2 at least.
It's Quarry.
Quarry. There you go. That's what Wikipedia says anyway. So let's go with that.
Wikipedia?
Yes, I do. The
university taught you nothing.
Oh, I've not been, that's why. But that's why I'm stupid.
I wouldn't go there.
There you go. Second corner, whatever it's called, at the end of Mountain Straight, might be an overtaking opportunity, as may be the chase after Conrod Straight, which is turns 20, 21 and 22, and then obviously Murray's Hill corner, maybe also overtaking opportunities there, but we'll just have to wait and see. The guys will be just selecting what they really want for this race and making any changes to their cell, maybe. Well, I don't think that's allowed actually, but you know. So yeah, these guys just readying themselves for this race, and then we'll be ready for this race. So yeah, currently sat in the pit lane, but they'll be out there in a moment, and yeah, the predictions will be flying in, but you've got to say that Mercedes are going to be looking very good, and it's probably going to be one of them who wins.
Yeah, you would have to think that the Mercedes are looking so strong. Maybe we could have a Honda spoiling the party. I don't think we've seen any Hondas on the top 3 steps of the podium, and maybe not even any Mercedes yet in the in the GTR Sprint Series. But you've got a little bit of downtime before we get into the race, so I thought I would teach you in some of the customs of the Mediterranean way.
Mediterranean way of what?
The Mediterranean way, because you've been botching up the name of my fellow Sardinian compatriot, Musto GD car.
Have I? Oh, yes. Please correct me.
Okay, guys, welcome to Race 5, Bathurst, Mount Panorama. I just want to go through a few things following last event 2 weeks ago.
Nick
just to be aware on this circuit, right, obviously now, the blue flags. Keep an eye out for the yellow flags leading up to any incidents, and your in-game spotter that you've got up running. Assist with the blue flags if you're getting past, and obviously don't just dive in expecting to make the move stick. Give the guys time to find a safe spot for the overtake, and the guys passing, please be patient and make the overtake safe. Remember conduct as well. Make sure we don't have any scenes during the race or after the race. And the main thing is enjoy the track. 2 hours, 1 driver swap. Just have fun, and I'm looking forward to this event. And yeah, enjoy yourself, guys.
Well, that was race director Nick Newcomb just addressing all of the drivers, and he said something there that really confused me, Ewan. He said, have fun. I don't know about you, Ewan, but doing an hour stint here at Mount Panorama, trying to stay away from the walls, that does not sound like fun. That sounds like... I don't know what it sounds like, but it's not fun.
Well, it sounds like fun to me, to be honest. I would quite enjoy that, personally. There you go, because I enjoy the circuit, but I understand if you don't enjoy the circuit, then you're not going to enjoy driving 2 hours around here. Well, these guys have got no choice, I'm afraid, because that's what they've lined up for. It's an all-Mercedes front row, and one of the Hondas is actually missing Richard Schaefer in the pit lane. I don't think he'll be taking this start. It's a disastrous start for him, but everybody else is going to be getting away cleanly. Oh, look at Tim Yarstrom trying to get away even before the green flags there, trying to get down the inside. But Pierluca Amato, I think it is, who's taken the lead through turn 1, and who is going to take second place, because it's all stacking up very closely indeed. Pincedo is currently in second position, but he's currently being knocked down to third, possibly. Let's see, as they run down into turn number 2 now, it's side by side between Jesper Pedersen and Tim Yarshall. Sorry, that's not Jesper Pedersen, it's one of the Hondas at the moment, trying to get through on everybody, and it looks like it's been a very clean start from everybody. So Tiziano Brioni, it looks like, is taking the lead after a drive. Oh, sorry, it is Pierluca Amato after all. But Johannes Weiss there in the Honda, making some big moves down the inside into turn number 2, as Tim Yarshall has really been shuffled back here.
Yeah, Tim Yarshall falling down the order. He's down into 5th place, and it is Jesper Pedersen in the Audi up into 4th place. We kind of discounted the Audi in the run for the win, but it is still a Mercedes 1 and 2. Johannes Weiss in a 3rd. He's a man on your screen right now in the number 556 car, but he has Pedersen all over his rear end, and it looks like we're going to be getting, a train of these first 4 cars, and then you've got Ralph Pringa on the back of Tim Yarshall in this battle for 5th place.
Yeah, the top 4 have really run away at the moment, it looks like, and at this point, it is just survival. Somebody not surviving there. It looked like Leonard Toki, actually, in wide on the exit Forest Elbow, which is a strange place to run wide. And here comes everybody. Chris Vickers, that is on the grass there. It's actually Rasmus Andreasen trying to get through, mind you. It's Daniele Brambilla also, with Ross McGregor. All kinds of things going on there. And now up the inside for Brambilla, and now looks like Andreasen has been shuffled back just a little bit. Just looking to see if Brambilla is going to hold on to that position, and he does, but Ross McGregor has followed him through, so 1 position gain for Andreasen, or it could have been a positional gain, but Andreasen has actually lost a position out of all of that.
Yeah, he has indeed, but it looks like there's a big battle for a 10th place right now, or whatever place that is at the front. Is it? I have no idea right now, Ewan, to be perfectly honest with you, but it is still Pierluca Amato who leads from Busquedu in 2nd, with Johannes Weiss in 3rd.
Yeah, it's all no change at the front just yet, but as I mentioned a moment ago, before I kind of interrupted myself, it's just about survival at this point in the race. It's not about winning the race right now, but you can definitely lose it. Pierluca Amato is trying to win it though. He's got a couple of seconds of a gap over Pincedo, who is falling back just a little bit in the Mercedes, and Johannes Weiss just following along, as is Jesper Pedersen. Not really much you can do at this point in the circuit, but these guys are just following on and showing their class, even though they can't actually overtake each other at this particular moment.
They can't just yet, but again, we talk about it, it's an endurance race, and at a circuit like Bathurst, it is so easy to make mistakes. It's just a case of it being patient, waiting for those opportunities to fall your way.
Yeah, I believe that Mike Epps just made a small mistake there, and Ralph Piringer also trying to get through on him, get through on Yarshall. Meanwhile, Matt Beavis is trying to get in the slipstream of the Bentley we're currently watching, so there could be all kinds of side-by-side going into the chase on this occasion. Not sure if there's going to be any move made. Piringer just shows his nose, but he's not going to go for it just yet. the dive down the left-hand side. No, he isn't. He's going to just stick behind just for now. So, yeah, all single file at the moment. These guys just content to sit behind each other. And you've got to say, with still 2 hours of racing left, or nearly 2 hours left, it's probably a good decision to race like this.
Yeah, it probably is. Luca Martin was a surprise at best as Jesper Pedersen getting very close to the back of Johannes Weiss. Now let's see what that Audi power is looking like. We talked about this here at Hungary. The amount of power that Audi has relative to its competitors is crazy, but it looks like the Honda has even more power all over the back of Busquets, who's forced to go defensive and around the outside tries Weiss, but he's not going to be able to find any way through just yet.
No, just all very close between everybody there, and now he's pulling to the outside on the entry to the cutting, and now look at Pedersen, he's trying to go around the outside as well. This is a fantastic battle between these three, absolutely knocking alongside of each other as it stands at the moment. And yeah, let's just have a look to see from the windscreen of Jesper Pedersen. This is going to be quite a ride. Hold on to your hats at home, because this is very scary. Over the top, following somebody this closely, you're going this fast and the walls are this close. It's just frightening, to be honest.
It is frightening, and now you make your way down into the chase as well, and if you get that little bit too greedy on the brakes, you can just tap the car ahead, and look how close Jesper Pedersen is getting onto the back of Johannes Weiss as we make our way down now into the dipper. He almost makes contact with Richard. There was a little bit of a love tap there. They make their way now through the Forest Elbow and onto Conrod Straight.
Yeah, let's see if there's going to be any moves made by the Audi on the Honda. As we saw last week, as you mentioned, the Audi does have good straight line speed, but look at that Honda. An absolute rocket attached to the rear end of that thing, because even with the slipstream, the Audi could not any kind of speed and really rear ends. The Honda does Jesper Pedersen there. He was very late on the brakes. It seems that on the brakes, that is where Pedersen is going to have to use his advantage. And Johannes Weiss currently looking ahead at, the Mercedes, trying to defend from Pedersen, the series leader. And yeah, it's getting all very tight and very, very interesting up the top of the timing sheets right now.
He's in indeed. Still Pierluca Amato leading the way, and you can just see him in the corner of your shot, slowly but surely pulling out more and more of a lead over Busquets. And again, Mercedes leading, or the Mercedes, I should say, leading the way from the Honda of Weiss, but don't count out Tim Yarshall. He's close back in onto Pedersen due to how much Pedersen and Weiss have been fighting over this third place.
Yeah, I think that is probably the reason why Yarshall is here again. Yeah, the two Mercedes is first and second. Yarshall 5th and 6th is appearing at the moment. Both Euronics cars, those, by the way. For Mercedes, they usually run Audis actually, but now they're fighting against one because they've decided to change their allegiances and just kind of drop the Audi for the Mercedes. It seems to be going all right. We talk about the I talk about the cars quite a lot, but they seem to be very well matched, and that's the idea really with the game and with GT3 racing in general. The cars are supposed to be this balanced, so it's actually. It's good to see that the balancing is working right now, because you're seeing so many different cars being able to battle so closely with each other.
And I want to bring over a little segment that we had back from Hungary, Ewan, as well. And I like to call it BB. Do you know what BB is, Ewan?
No.
I like to call it Bentley bashing. We take a look at who's driving Bentleys, and then we comment on how much we dislike the car.
Yeah, well, I don't dislike it that much. I just said it's quite big. Okay. That's all I was really.
You can defend the Bentley then.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah. I suppose if you don't like it, then go for it. But yeah, it's yeah. What a disgrace. No, it's not really. It's not that bad, to be honest. He's actually under a bit of pressure here. Is the Bentley in question? I think that's traffic in front. Or it might be Ralph Perringer just holding everyone up a little bit, but. Good luck finding a way through. Oh, meanwhile, Pedersen is making a move. Yeah, Pedersen's making a move on Weiss here, but we're about to see the straight line speed of that Honda with the amount of horsepower that it has, trying to get down the inside, and absolutely no chance. Pedersen had to defend from Yarshall, but he just couldn't, and he's now down to 4th. So when you just, down to 5th position. So when you just step out of line for one moment, it just shows that you can lose many positions.
Yeah, and again, it all comes down to the horsepower of these cars, and it seems that the Mercedes just lead the way in terms of top end, and the Hondas as well. The Audis, we talked about the fact that they were fast at Hungary, but that was in comparison to the Porsches, in comparison to the Lexus, and it just seems that the Mercedes and the Hondas are different monsters entirely.
Yeah, they are really, in many different ways, and that's what makes it great, to be honest. So, Pedersen is down to 4th position. Pisquedo has got through, not Yarshall. He's the one watching at the moment. There's a very defensive line for the Mercedes there, but nothing doing. And now the Burst Esport Simplexity car, the number 94 in question, we're going to see what the straight line speed is versus the Mercedes, because we haven't really seen these two cars come up against each other, and when we did, it was 2 months ago at the Spa race, and it seems that from that early reckoning, it looks like they're very well matched on terms of the straight line speed. So as with the last overtake we just saw, the guy's probably going to have to wait for a mistake before they can actually make a pass on each other.
Also, when did Johannes Weiss move up into 2nd place? When did he get past Pisquedo?
It's a good question. I think Pisquedo actually was the one who made a mistake there, and Pedersen was trying to get through on him. It was taking me a lap to work out, to be honest. It's going down the inside. Oh, contact and a little bit wide there for Pisquedo, but Pedersen is through now. And what is Yarshall going to do? He's going to pull out as well, so it's going to be Mercedes versus Mercedes. But look, Pedersen is giving Yarshall the slipstream on the left-hand side as they go down straight now and towards turn number 2. You've got the outside line there, and with this camber, it's hard to get the corner, but Yarshall has managed to get the corner, and Pisquedo has gone from 2nd to 5th in a matter of 2 laps.
Yeah, and not good stuff from Pisquedo, currently dropping all the way down into 5th place, as you mentioned. And the Mercedes party is getting broken up. We now have 3 different manufacturers in those top 3 positions, albeit 2 of them are German.
Yeah, true. But I just wonder if Pisquedo has got damage from the way he's not only fallen back to this group, but he's also now letting Yarshall and Pedersen go up the road a little bit. It just looks, at least his confidence looks a little bit knocked from any kind of knock he may have taken previous lap. Although after my damage comment, he does seem to be doing pretty well. So I'm not sure what to read into Pisquedo dropping back, really, because he seems alright now.
Also, you know what else seems alright?
What?
Your pronunciation of his name it's got muy bien.
I've picked up from what you mean now. The C is a bit more, or the SC is a bit more sk than I thought.
The thing that I was going to mention is any Italian who has a U at the end of their surname is like 99% going to be from a little island of Italy which is called Sardinia, which is where my mum's from. And yeah, you really pronounce the use as Pisquedo. Like, you can go really hard on that.
You can go very Italian on that, I can tell, yeah.
You can have some real fun with it.
Yes, you can. You definitely can. I'm not going to, because I struggle with it, but I'm struggling to get the half-right one out. But I was just kind of disregarding the C. I thought you were going to tell me that actually the U was silent then, and just completely throw me off, but
if you
thought,
if maybe
not.
you as well, I could just give you wrong pronunciation.
Don't do that, that'd be a disaster for the whole story. I'll just make a fool of myself even more, but
to be honest, Peter could do that with both of us and some of the Danish names.
Yeah, that is very true. Matt Beavis has just been absolutely overtaken. That big slide from the Bentley, and now they're going to run side by side towards the cutting. This has accident written all over it, doesn't it? And now Brambilla's going to get up the inside. Oh, it has turned into an accident. A huge one. Matt Beavis and Daniele Brambilla. It looks like he's managed to do a full 360, and look at everybody in behind. There's going to be some damaged cars here, and there's going to be some guys coming up from behind, and there's going to be probably another accident if they're not careful.
Matt Beavis, one of the 3 Porsches on the field, trying to do them proud. He's thinking, we did so well at Hungary, where is the Porsche power? Oh, back ends all over the place as they make their way through Fox Hollow. But he's going to have to let quite a few people through. That's Rasmus Andresen up into 10th now.
He is indeed. Goodness me. Simon Crane and Dan Kell following through, but Andreasen, after trying to make moves, we watched him make moves earlier, and now he is continuing his way up the field actually, but he's been very quiet so far, which is probably the best way to get up the field. But goodness me, that I said it just before it happened, it had accident written all over it, and unfortunately going side by side into the cut, it never really works, and unfortunately for Matt Beavis and Daniele Brambilla, it hasn't worked out on that occasion, but this might not either. The two Bentleys battling side by side into the chase. Goodness me, they're very close as they get down on the brakes. Simon Crane on the inside, and then nearly another bit of contact with Dan Kell on the outside, but he's going to do him completely on the brakes and through the left-hander there. A very good move there from Dan Kell.
And you in a brand new form of Bentley bashing in the making.
Possibly, yeah.
Battling, there we go, Bentley battling. I got them again.
True. They've a bit of an interesting one, really. Never seen those two cars, or two of the same of those cars, actually really fight it out there, so that was interesting. But there you go, they avoided all accident, unlike those before them, or earlier in the lap. Looks like Sean Bennett is going to try and get through here as well.
He's going to have a little look to the inside, but he'll decide against it into the quarry. We'll just feed him behind. I think he's seen enough accidents happening in this sector of the circuit to know better than to go for a dive bomb into turn 2.
Yeah, he decided just, probably the sensible option really, just decided not to. But that seems to be the only accidents I've seen so far. No, I don't want to jinx things here, but obviously Biazizo didn't get into this race, and unfortunately. And it looks like we are losing a couple of them. So Brambilla and Beavis are not going to be in this race either, but it looks like still 20 of them are running, and I was expecting a little bit worse from some of these guys, I have to say. I thought that there was going to be a few more accidents, particularly on the opening laps, and it seems that hasn't actually been the case.
No, only seen a couple of accidents, and it's all been in the last couple of laps. But then again, Ewan, we're only, 16 and a half minutes into this race, so we've got plenty more time for some big accidents here at Bathurst.
Yeah, absolutely. It will bite at some point, that's for sure. Going around here for 2 hours without crashing is going to be quite a job for some of these guys, and well, probably most of them, in all honesty. It looks like there's still a couple of battles going on. Not between. Where's Mike Epps gone? No, he's just gone up the road a little bit. That's all fine. I thought he'd actually crashed there, but he hasn't. And it looks like actually the closest battle furthest towards the field is between two Mercedes. It's Stroll and Pisquedu, and they're getting very close here. Looks like Yasha had to defend there, and now they're going to run side by side under the bridge and down the little dip here on Mountain Straight, but round the outside into turn number 2. Not often used. They do make contact. He's going to try it anyway. It's Pisquedu, and that is exactly why we'll often opt out of that move, because when you get out of the camber, when you get out of the banking, it's almost like a NASCAR turn. That when you're out of the rear groove down the bottom, you've really had it, and you're going towards the wall very quickly indeed.
Well, Yasham holds on to 4th place, and this just means Jesper Pedersen is getting further and further away from these two. Bit of a Mercedes battle, as you mentioned, going on. Not quite as dominant as we expected them to be, considering what the qualifying results were.
It's all about what you were saying earlier about race pace and things related to it. The Mercedes can be as fast as you want in qualifying, but are they the real deal in the race? Well, on early showing, apparently not, but let's not forget Pierluca Amato is still leading, and he is one of those Mercedes. There he is, just in the foreground of your shot, and the top 3 are still very close together, it seems. Separated by about 3 seconds are the 3 cars. It's getting a little bit more spaced out down the order, but apart from the guys at the at the front of the field. Oh, sorry, Rasmus Andreasen has had a bit of a touch on the barriers there, and now Dan Kell and Simon Crane are going to try and get through here. So we were saying earlier that Bathurst can buy at any moment. It seems that it has actually bitten Rasmus Andreasen just there.
Yeah, now he's under pressure from Kell behind in the bend. He's going to have a look down the inside as we make our way into the chase, and it looks like Kell's going to have the move done. He's getting a little bit of a tow from the Bentley up ahead as they make their way through Forest Elbow and into the chase, and Andreasen is forced to yield.
He is indeed. I think he's probably got damage though. He might be into the pit lane. Oh! He's going to go down the inside into the final corner at Murray's. Let's see if he can do it. Oh, it's a bit of a squeeze there, but they've managed it, and Simon Crane making the outside line work there. Sean Bennett is going to be catching these two at an alarming rate at the moment, with them battling so hard, but Andreasen and Crane, that was a bit of a squeaky battle going into the final corner, but they managed to keep it clean.
Yeah, and Sean Crane is closing up. Is he the leading Aston... Sorry, not Simon Crane. Is Sean Bennett the leading Aston Martin in the race?
I think he is, yeah. One of two that I can see down the order anyway, just ahead of Carl Lykegaard, so they're the only two. Sean Bennett is currently winning out in that battle, so yeah, they're doing well at the moment, in probably not a favourable car, let's be honest.
Well, no, not judging by the standings anyway. Maybe we should introduce bonus points to this top scoring car from each manufacturer.
Yeah, possibly. That might be a good idea, because it does kind of level the playing field. Goodness me. I don't know who that is.
Guy down the inside as well. I think he's got past.
It's Alan Hansen.
Is that Johansson? Yeah, I think that is Johansson just dropping down the order. So I'm not quite sure what went on there, but something happened.
Yeah, well, I think this is Alan Hansen actually, down in 20th at the moment. The second last running car, and he's about to be lapped again by Mike Epps, that is, in the background. But yeah, it seems that they've already had issues there in the DSR Dream Team car, and he's about to get him pushed there through the chase, but or the latter portion of it anyway. And so, yeah, not a good day for those guys, and the only Lexus out there, so you know, not enjoying it seems.
Well, Pierluca Mato leading the way as Musto GD search for that elusive victory. They've picked up 3 podiums so far, but not a single win. Can Mount Panorama provide the perfect setting for them to get that first win of the season and enable them to stake their claims to the top of the standings? Bathurst Esports Complexity currently leading the championship, but that's Pedersen at the wheel, and he's currently down in 3rd place.
Yeah, it's funny to talk about the championship just at this moment, because currently Amato and his Musto GD Esports team would move into the top spot in this championship by just 2 points ahead of Jesper Pedersen and Kasper Henningsen. However, this race is long and far from done, because these 3 cars are going to be burning fuel at different rates, and they're going to have a different starting fuel tank as well. So some cars have got a little bit bigger tanks than others, which means you have, and some cars are a little bit more efficient in terms of the fuel as well. So one of these 3 is going to have a shorter stop than the rest of them, which is going to catapult them ahead of the others.
And we're talking about the top 3 who are separated by what, a couple of seconds. Let's have a little bit of a prediction. Jesper Pedersen, does he have something to throw? Oh, there he is. Look at that beautiful helmet. The man is concentrating very seriously. Jesper Pedersen, though, do you think he's going to stick one back to Kasper Henningsen and stay out for, a good 90 minutes?
Well, he's taking his revenge for not being able to drive last time. Possibly. But to be honest, I don't think the Audi can quite manage that. I think he'll stay out for as long as he can, but I don't think it'll be quite 90 minutes like it was last week. Or 2 weeks ago, sorry.
Something else I want to bring up as well is just due to such long straights that we get here at Mount Panorama, I wonder if being in the toe of the car in front significantly affects your fuel consumption.
It could do. Especially if you're able to lift off down towards it, because the chase is a big fuel-saving place, because it's downhill anyway, so you're kind of being taken by the gravity and obviously the slipstream as well, so you can really lift off down towards there. But down towards here is kind of slightly uphill, and I don't think Pedersen's quite close enough just yet, so I'm not sure, but I think that he might be able to save some fuel. And he might decide that that's the better way to overtake, because as we've seen, overtaking on track at Bathurst is a lot more dangerous than trying to overtake in the pit lane. I think I just saw the Honda swap the wall there, so yeah, as we keep mentioning, Bathurst is very dangerous.
I think dangerous is a slight understatement. It's more dangerous than Australia gets with wild animals. Australia's always been a country I've wanted to go and visit, but every time I think about doing it, I just think of the numerous different animals and insects that could actually murder me.
Yes, that's. I think that's a scare for a lot of people actually. It's quite a scary place. Don't forget, we've seen wild animals at this place, Mount Panorama, before. I believe Chaz Mostert, I think it was, ran over a kangaroo in the Bathurst 1000 a few years ago, and there were kangaroos on the Bathurst 12-hour course a few months ago when that was running earlier this year. So, yeah, wild animals do tend to make an appearance here at Bathurst on the odd occasion.
So, Ewan, kangaroo or koala bear?
Well, I don't really know anything about either of them other than what they look like, and I barely know what koala looks like, so I haven't got a clue, to be honest. But koalas seem a bit like a bit slow and a bit lazy to me. But maybe I just don't know what they're like, really. I probably don't, to be honest. But there you go. My animal knowledge, my animal knowledge is severely poor. So it's kind of difficult to say, to be honest.
Okay, we can do some car-related animal knowledge, all right? So, what is the animal on the Lamborghini badge?
It's a bull, is it? I think it is. Yeah, it is. I nearly said bat, but that's what one of the cars is called in Italian, isn't it? Until one of the, I swear one of the Lamborghinis in Italian is called bat. I don't know. Maybe I just, yeah. Apparently, one of the Lamborghini. I don't think it's the Huracan that we have. I'm going to put it on the screen for a moment. Here we are. We haven't seen a Lamborghini on the screen yet, and there it is. Oh, it's in the wall. That was a bad moment to cut to them. Sorry about that. The curse of the camera there for Michael Slot, just meaning he's off the road, and I believe he's actually had previous damage here because he looks like he's limping back to the pit lane, I'm afraid. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame for him. Yeah, I don't think it was. It might have been the Merchant Largo or the Gallardo. Something like that, I think it was called bat in Italian. I'm not really sure.
I can't quite remember what bat actually is in Italian. I should know this. If my mother is actually hearing me scream, which she sometimes does, I will not be here for the next race in 2 weeks' time because she would have murdered me.
No, yes, I would imagine that. But to be honest,
it's getting very tight.
It is, and Johannes Weiss actually got a good run out of the chase there, and a bit defensive for Pierluca Amato. The pressure is really mounting here on the Italian, and now, big spin! And he's been tipped into a spin there by Johannes Weiss. He's going to have damage, and Weiss is going to have trouble of his own here in a moment with Jesper Pedersen really in the background trying to get up the inside into Hell Corner, but he can't quite, and a big slide for the Honda on the exit of turn number 1. Jesper Pedersen could be picking up 2 positions for the price of 1 here, and now flashing his lights there is Johannes Weiss trying to make his go a bit faster, and it looks like it's working there on the left hand side, up the inside into turn number 2. It looks like he's taken it, but will he get a penalty for tipping Pierluca Amato into a spin?
And just slight contact, and it sends Pierluca Amato spinning. Disaster for the Musto GD driver, and now Johannes Weiss leads the way ahead of Jesper Pedersen, and now we're still looking at Pierluca Amato struggling so much with the car. Tim Yarshall has now passed him, and I wonder if we're going to have to see an early stop coming in from the Musto GD driver.
You've got to imagine that they're going to have damage on that car, and it will not be behaving as they want it to. Meanwhile, Alessio Piscedo has also had a bit of a altercation, some kind of barrier. I think the other Musto car also having problems, so they're down in 6th, and it's all falling apart for Musto in their Mercedes cars.
Well, I guess it's just a case of the Italians not really liking this circuit. We saw a Lamborghini in the wall, and then we see the 2 Italian drivers, having incidents dropping down the order. If they can hold up for another 10 minutes, I think, well, hopefully for them anyway, a Mercedes will be able to do an 80-minute longer stint, and maybe they can nurse that car for another 10 minutes before peeling it in for an early pit stop as we ride on board with Mike Epps. We've got Pierluca Amato, our old race leader, just in front of him. Mike Epps, a British touring car driver, in 5th place and now hunting down 4th.
He is indeed. He's really climbed the order in the last few minutes because of incidents around him, basically, not because of, wholly because of merit on the racetrack. He's just managed to get through the field and get through the accidents at the moment, and one of the recipients of an accident has been Pierluca Mato. I really don't know how to judge the incident he had there at the final corner. It looked very, very close indeed, and I would need to see it again, to be honest, if I was to make a judgment about what actually happened there. But if there is a penalty needed, then they will assign one in race control.
I'm just wondering, because the point at which Johannes Weiss made contact with Pierluca Amato's car was on the exit of the corner. So at that point, it should not have been enough to send Amato spinning, unless Amato was already losing traction with the rear. So I'm going to go ahead and, sure, I haven't seen the incident, so I may be wrong, but I think Pierluca Amato was already losing that rear, or was in a half slide, forced to lift off, and that meant that Weiss wasn't able to react in time, and then just tapped the back of Pierluca Amato's car.
I think also that Amato was defending down towards the final corner, wasn't he? He was on the left-hand side. He was taking a shallow line into the turn, and obviously when you do that, you can slightly overrun, and you can get undercut, and the guy behind can do the crisscross and get up or get the run on you on the exit of the corner. So I wonder if he was just sticking it to the inside and waiting a little bit longer to get on the power, just so that the disadvantage of his run onto the straight would be negated really by having his car in the way, so that Weiss couldn't accelerate. But Weiss decided to accelerate anyway and go into the back of him, it seems.
Yeah, Mike Epstein up into 5th place in the Bentley, and he's so close to Pierluca Amato, who, well, he's doing a decent job of nursing the car if there is a damage, but I think he's losing a few tenths a lap at the very least, maybe even half a second, judging by the amount of that Mike Epps has been able to close in onto the Mercedes.
Yeah, definitely, and you've got to, as we said earlier, got to think that Amato is going to be carrying damage in this race. We'll see how the battle unfolds then, because this has been a fascinating race so far, a race of ups and downs for many of these, and it could be a bit of a down here for Johannes Weiss, who's under pressure from Jesper Pedersen down into turn number 2 once again. He's on the defensive, but the Honda holds out from the Audi just for now, but he's definitely looking under a lot of pressure at the moment, it's Weiss.
But you know what they say, one Mercedes gone, another one are back in. I know no one says that, but Tim Yarshall is closing in.
Yeah, he really is at the moment. It's about 6 seconds just for now, but he is definitely closing that margin just at the moment. Yeah, while we've got just a very brief a pause in hostilities here at Mount Panorama, I think we're going to take a very short break while this battle just peters out for the moment. When we come back, we'll have the resumption of this battle for the lead. It's Weiss versus Pedersen at the front of the GTR24 Sprint Series at Bathurst. Welcome back to the GTR24 Sprint Series here at Bathurst, Mount Panorama. Apologies for the bit of a sound problem there with the commercial. I think we're just going to turn it off for the rest of the commercials, to be honest, because tried to fix it, didn't work, so just turn it off in the end. But we've still got Johannes Weiss leading the pack around the mountain, of course, and we've had big news in the break, haven't we? Pierluca Amato, another big crash, and he has escaped to the pit lane, and he is out of this race, we believe.
Yeah, it does look like that is the case of Ewan, but as you mentioned, it's not like anything else could go wrong.
No, it was already going wrong for Amato, and it's going even more wrong for him at the moment, and this is an unprecedented opportunity for excuse me, for Jesper Pedersen to gain lots of points on the Musto GD Esports number 71. He came in with an 8-point advantage, and at the moment he's extending it to 26, but he could be extending it to 33, and that is a huge margin. Even with 7 rounds to go after this one, 33 points is going to be a very tall order to close in on a team with the quality of Pedersen and Henningsen.
Yeah, but also don't forget Johannes Weiss for the Butler Power Motorsports car. Their best finish so far has been 5th, and now they're looking to take the top step of the podium. But I'm sure Jesper Pedersen, he'll be a little bit greedy, I'm sure. I don't think he'll want to just sit back and pick up a second. He's going to want to be able to pick up the win, or at least do his absolute best to put Kasper Henningsen into prime position to snatch a P1 away from the Butler Pal Motorsports Honda, and we'll have to just wait and see. Either way, this is a big result for Burst Esports Complexity.
Yeah, whatever happens, if they finish in the points, then it's going to be points gained for those guys. Just looking a little bit further down the order, because anybody below the top 3 were a little bit out of it, really, in terms of this championship. So I'm going to see if anybody else could really kind of get themselves into the equation here. Piscedo was looking like he was going to be able to, but he's now down in 10th. So it doesn't really look like that's going to be the case. The 58 was 5th position going into this day, but they disconnected early off the Leonard Toki car, if I'm not, or the car being driven by Leonard Toki, and that is correct. They came 2nd back at Spa, but they have disconnected very early on from this particular race. And then looking even further down from that, you've got 37 Rookie Monsters. Now they're running quite well. I believe that's the MyCaps car, is it? Possibly.
No, MyCaps is simply...
Oh, no.
7.
Yes, he is. Correct. So who's 37? Well, they're not here either. Well, they're not in the front either at all, so... they're not going to be in the equation, so you've got to really look down towards the 57 Euronics car, which is currently in 3rd. They may play their way into this race, although they're a long way off at the moment. They'll still be at least 30-40 points away at the end of this. And Simply Race Sancho currently in 4th position, so it's really those two guys who could really capitalise and maybe jump themselves into a podium spot in this championship.
Yeah, exactly so, and if I'm not mistaken, Team Rookie Monsters usually has Mantis Wreckers as one of their drivers.
Yeah.
I can't remember who their other driver is, but Jesper Pedersen, he's getting closer and closer onto Johannes Weiss, who has a drive-through penalty. So he's run wide on the exit of the final corner, I think, and that is a big news, not only for the race, but for the championship as well.
I think that was actually assigned because of the incident with Pierluca Amato, because he didn't seem to be in a corner at the time. I'm going to get the information now from Nukem. Drive-through penalty for contact while taking the lead. There you go. Johannes Weiss going to have to drive through the pit lane, and he is probably going to be out roundabouts in 4th position behind Mike Epps after all of this.
Oh, this is disaster for Johannes Weiss, and well, I'm sure the Musto GD will be saying that is her karma, but Johannes Weiss, absolute disaster for him. Pedersen should know that there's a driver. He can just sit behind Weiss for a couple of laps, and he'll then have absolute clear air in just a couple of laps at a time. But Johannes Weiss, disaster for the number 556 Butler Power of Motorsports Honda.
Yeah, it could really put them out of this race if they're not careful. He's currently flying at the moment. These two are comfortably the fastest guys on the race circuit right now, but looks like with this drive-through penalty, Weiss is going to have to obviously come free, and he's going to come out around about 4th, 5th position, in my opinion. I was just about to say, really, that Pedersen doesn't need to try and get through on Vice just yet. He could probably just stick behind right now and try and get him in the pit cycle later. But we'll see. He's not going to have to think about that any longer because Vice is going to be in the pit lane before long, we think. So he comes into the chase now. He's probably going to have 3 laps to serve it, I think. He might just get it out of the way on the first lap anyway.
No. I think, to be honest, he should stay out for as long as possible just to keep Pedersen behind, because I don't think Pedersen is going to be aggressive at all to find a position. So Vice might as well just hold up Pedersen for as long as he can.
And thinking about it, that's probably actually the best idea now that you've put that to us. I think that's probably what he's going to go for right now. Yeah, be interesting to see what he does and how much holding up he does do, because I saw him hit the wall out the cutting on the previous lap, and that is going to cost him time, and that's going to cost Pedersen some time as well. So maybe he does want Yarshall to get into the equation right now and close that 6-second margin so that Pedersen gets into a battle and maybe Vice can catch back up again.
Yeah, and right now it was looking so good for the Mercedes and the Hondas as well, but everything's going downhill, and you start to realise why Burst Esports Simplexity are leading the championship. Pace and consistency, 2 wins, although not the best of results at Belgium and at Hungary, but again, they're giving them the pace every single race, and they'll continue to extend their lead at the top of the championship here tonight, as long as Pedersen and Henningsen don't make any serious mistakes. Price has this lap and next lap to service drive through. I'm fully expecting it to come through on his final chance, so next time round.
Yeah, quite possibly, but that's what we think right now. But is that what's actually going to take place? If you see what I mean, we'll find out in a short time, I'm sure, as they come out of Forest Elbow now and continue on this battle. It's a little bit of a shame that Vice is going to be taken out of this. Obviously, Amato was taken out of it because of Vice's driving, in the opinion of the race direction. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a shame for this lead battle to peter out, but it might end up closing up towards the end of the race, because we don't know what the strategies are going to work out like. I know there's not much strategy that you can do in a 2-hour race, but that water stop is very crucial, and maybe someone will play their way into this race through the pit stop cycle.
Well, Johannes Weiss dives into the pits this time around, and that means that Jesper Pedersen is given clear air. And there's Weiss, and well, under that helmet, you know he's going to be sulking. I'm sure he's got his own opinion of that contact with Pierre-Luca Amato. It'll be interesting to hear from him after the race what his thoughts are on the incident. But let's just keep an eye on where the Honda feeds out. He's behind Pedersen. Where is Yarshall?
Yeah, that's the big question here. Where is Tim Yarshall? He's already out ahead, I think, is Yarshall. I think he's miles out ahead. Mike Epps has also gone through. He's in 4th position on the bottom right-hand side of the screen right now. So Weiss is currently 4th, I believe, but I'm not entirely sure. He's just dropping down the order now as Mike Epps comes through. As Tim Yarshall comes over the line. Where's Ralph Piringer? Well, he's a little bit further back, so comfortably in 4th. He's got a few seconds in front of him and a few seconds behind him, so Weiss is able to get in a rhythm kind of on his own here, which is probably going to be the best thing for him.
Okay, and it also seems like, Ewan, we've got a BBB. Do you know what that stands for?
No, I don't.
Bentley Bronze Bathurst.
Oh yes, yeah, true. We have at the moment.
That's happened, but
no.
Oh, like it.
Thought Sean Bennett was going to get overtaken there, but this is the closest battle on the track, by the way. Mikkel Mo and Sean Bennett, but be careful going side by side to the cutting. We've seen it happen before. Fortunately, we're not going to see it happen again, but yeah, Bentley doing very well, keeping out of incidents, which is the most important thing so far throughout this race.
Yeah, and at least we do have one battle going on. It's not for points at the moment, but if there's any more shenanigans up ahead, this could very well give a point to either Ralph and, to either Sean Bennett or to Mikkel Mo in the 112 and 55 cars respectively. Yeah,
indeed. So, meanwhile, Alessio Piscetto, is really losing time here. He was up towards the podium spots, but Hamid just really forced him back through the field and he continues to fall through the field. He's now got Carl Likegaard just behind him, and you've got to say that he has to pit soon because he's losing so much pace. I saw him do a 2:10 a few minutes ago, which is 8 seconds slower than everybody else.
I'm trying to remember what Pesquetti did. I think he just hit the wall through the S's a few laps ago. The question is, how far can that Mercedes go on a full tank of fuel? How early can Pesquetti come into the pits? Because when he does come into the pits and he's just forced to gear, just look how much time he's losing on the straight relative to the... Is that an Aston Martin?
Yeah, it is, yeah. That's a new Aston Martin, of course. Looks a little bit different to the old one. Makes a worse sound, though, I'm afraid. The old screaming V12 that they used to have in that Aston Martin is, unfortunately, it is no more. But Carl Likegaard is utilising it, and there's the other one, just on the screen, battling with Mikel Mo at the moment. So, yeah, Aston Martin's currently representing just outside the top 10. It could prove better for them, but I think, you know, Pesquetti has just hit the wall too many times, but it's a difficult conundrum for him at the moment because he wants to pit as early as possible, but he doesn't know for sure when the earliest possible pitting is. Obviously, it's very easy to tell when the last possible moment to pit is, because you just run it dry out of fuel and then you come into the pit lane, but working out when's the earliest you can pit is a lot more difficult.
Yeah, although you do have a team behind you, they will be calculating all of this. And to be honest, when you come into these races, you've put enough prep and you should know exactly how far a full tank of fuel can take you. That's just the prep that these teams have done, or at the very least, it should be doing just for that prep. So you know every single scenario possible. You know, in the same kind of way, if there is a safety car in something like F1, you have to know exactly how far your tyres can go, when's the earliest you can put on a certain compound of tyres. Here in the 2-hour sprint series, you have to know how far a full tank of fuel can take you.
Yeah, I agree, but I just wonder how many of these guys do actually know that particular information. I'm hoping they do, and I'm sure some of them do, at least, especially towards the front of the field. The most prepared among these drivers will definitely know, but some of them may not, especially less experienced or people who just have a little bit less time on their hands now that everybody's sort of half going back to normal in some aspects of life, but some people may have still jobs to go to throughout the whole of this thing, and they may not really have the time on their hands, but you've got to expect that at least somebody will know. And obviously it doesn't change too much from track to track, you've got to say. I know there's a lot of wide open running at Bathurst, but you know, roughly the amount of minutes stays about the same throughout most of these circuits.
Yeah, I just got a message from my mum saying, oh, would you like some snacks? So I messaged her back saying, I can't do it right now, Mum. I'm commentating. And my mum responded with, I know you're commentating, I can see you from the garden. Stop looking at your phone. So now I feel like I've got a pair of eyes glancing at my back right now, and I'm very sensitive at the moment.
Yeah, you're on Big Brother at the moment, looks like, from the amount of that. But you also just been exposed to going on your phone all the time. It's probably because I talk for so long, to be honest. You've probably got time for a whole phone call on your phone in the time I've stopped talking again. But there you go.
Professional. you know, it's professional tweets that are going out on this phone mid-race.
Tweets, right? Okay. Yeah, professional tweets.
Do that before the race? No. Mid-race.
Yeah, well, yeah, to be honest, there's a lot of things going on before the race, and there was especially a lot of things going on before the race today. There was all kinds of problems that we had to deal with, including the TeamSpeak server which went down, so we didn't have actually a place to actually commentate from until about 5 minutes before the qualifying session started. So it's safe to say that things didn't go very smoothly at the start of this race, but one man, it is going smoothly for the moment is Mikel Mo as he tries to make a move on the Aston Martin.
Yeah, Sean Bennett will be on the outside of the right king, but this means Mikel Mo is on the outside as we make our way down into the chase. I think Mikel Mo's got the job done. He'll pass the Aston Martin and he'll lead the Aston Martin through the chase up into 11th place.
Yeah, good move from him. He's been sizing that up for a couple of laps and using that Audi straight line speed. Also using the kind of sleekness of the Audi to hide behind the rather large Martin who he was kind of hiding behind, as I mentioned, and now he's going to try and chase down another one of the Audis, Rasmus Andreasen, just up in front of him, who in turn is chasing one of the back markers. I believe that's Jimmy Wolf, possibly. Jimmy Wim Hansen, who's in the 12 possibly, but yeah, there you go. Andreasen currently in 10th, and it looks like the closest battle on track is actually still between Dan Kell and Simon Crane, who've pretty much been battling the whole race so far.
They have indeed. Also, good news as well, Ewan. Pesquedu is into the pits. Finally, it took him 50 minutes. He was able to go 50 minutes along in that Mercedes, so I guess the Musto GD team think that you can take a maximum of 70 minutes in a Mercedes. Well, we'll see whether perhaps Yarshall goes up past that 70 minutes mark.
Yeah, it's the pit stop window is now well and truly open, especially if you are in a Mercedes. They've done the maths down at Musto, you can be sure of that. Very professional team, of course, alongside most professional in this series, like Burst Esport and AAA Esports, also Simply Race at Zancho, also a very professional team. They will all know what their fuel windows are, and apparently for the Mercedes 70 minutes, or more like 69.5 minutes, when although he's not out of the pit lane yet, so it's going to be about 68.5 when he actually leaves the pit lane, and that's all he needs.
Like you're going a little bit through it up there. Yeah.
68 minutes and 25 seconds and 3/10 or something like that. Yeah. That's how long you can go on the tank of fuel. But you know what I mean, I'm only joking. Anyway, he looks like he's still in the pit lane. He's probably going to have damage to fix, actually.
Ewan, you forgot about the +1 lap at the end.
Oh yeah, he needs to take into account the lap. He's just been dropped down on the there he goes. Daniele Primavera is going to be the driver. It will still look quite damaged, but that car will be fully fixed now, and you can be guaranteed that stop is longer than it would have been if there wasn't any damage, that's for sure.
Yeah, and well, let's see, because Pesquedu was running behind a Leica guard before his pit stop, and he's going to drop all the way down the order, but well, let's just see what Primavera can pull out. Very talented driver, and well, I'm sure he'll be climbing up the order regardless.
Yeah, I think he will be, and that will be probably one of the things to watch throughout the rest of this race, because yeah, he's going to be very fast in the latter portion of this race, as I said. So I'm just trying to find, see if I can find a fact about what's his name, Daniele Primavera, but I can't at the moment, so I have to hold on for that for now. There is no facts about him, that's why. There you go. Yeah, I believe it was John who compiled together a load of facts about all of these drivers. So yes, we've got a lot of things to talk about for these guys, and some of them are very accomplished.
I have that pin somewhere if you want me to bring it up, and I can just randomly read through it if you want.
Well, I think we'll end up doing that in the second portion of the race, to be honest, because I think we'll wait for the pit stops and then talk about the new drivers, to be honest, because we are not long from pit stops, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see how the order shakes around when these pit stops are made, because as we mentioned, there's a bit of an altercation down the bottom of the, down at the chase here. 3 cars and a load of dust is being kicked up by somebody, and it doesn't seem to be very pleasant for the Lamborghini. Michael Slot, I think it's Michael Slot, is it? In the Lamborghini, he's off the road at the moment, and he's had another massive hit in that car.
Yeah, he has. Well, I guess in terms of the narrative anyway, he wasn't one of the top 10. He won't be affecting the points at all. He gets well out of the way of all of the leading cars. Make sure he doesn't impede any lapping cars, and he just dives right into the pits as Ross McGregor is into the pits. So he's another early stopper here from 6th place. And let's see how long the stop will take him, where he'll feed out.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Here's Daniele Brambilla is also in the pit lane from 19th position. Even 20th, unfortunately. A bit of a story of sadness for those guys down in the pit lane at the moment, and there they all are. The Lamborghini just trying to find his pit box at the moment. I think he's a bit lost looking at that, but he's just tucking himself in there. And that's going to be a bit awkward for John Munro, to get out, but it looks like the Lamborghini just pulls out the way, and John Munro can get out of the pit lane just in time. So yeah, the pit stop's well and truly underway here, and now the undercutters are really coming into the pit lane early now.
Indeed they are, and you wanted some interesting stats, didn't you?
Yeah, we can do. Let's go for it.
I'm just trying to find Ross McGregor now on the sheet. There we go. Oh, wait, never mind you. It says no data, and for John Munro, no data. Wait, John Munro is 20... Wait, no, never mind. I was going to say he's 23 years old, but they're in car number 23. Never mind me, you and I just had a massive oopsie.
Yeah, they are in car number 23, sorry. Both from Great Britain, that's all I can tell you. John Munro and Ross McGregor. So there you go. Daniele Brambilla, by the way, got his drive-through penalty for unsportsmanship or unsportsmanlike conduct by not allowing Michael Slot to come back onto the circuit once he'd been off. I think that Slot was not allowed back on. So Brambilla's had to take his drive-through penalty and unfortunately kind of sweep up his pride a bit there, because that's a bit of a naughty one.
Yeah, and I wonder what that was for. I wonder if they were battling for position and Brambilla just squeezed Slot out wide and then essentially just forced him off the track. And I know sometimes the outside car gets blamed for that, passing off circuit, but...
Slow car sector 2, slow car sector 2.
Who is it?
That doesn't sound good. Sector 2, a yellow flag. And, well, I'm sure someone will be dropping down the order. From Johannes Weiss's perspective right now, he's still running in 4th place in the Honda.
I'm hoping that we'll see the car in a moment by following them through Sector 2 here, down the across Skyline now, and down the Dipper as they take a bit of a jump down the order. It's Brambilla who's slow. Let's go and find him way down the order at the moment on his outlap, and he is slow, it looks like, somewhere, but I can't see him on the circuit. There he is, towards the chase. So it looks like he's actually going at a decent speed. I thought he'd be going a lot slower than that.
Yeah, also, when we were taking a look at Johannes Weiss, look how close he is to Mike Epps. These two have not pitted. Remember, Johannes Weiss was leading the race and then had a driver-through penalty for contact he made with the leader at the time, Daniele Primavera. And now he's in 4th, and he can see Mike Epps right ahead as the back marker gets well out of the way and dives into the pits.
Yeah, he just held up Mike Epps just ever so slightly there, and now Johannes Weiss is going to be all over the back of the the current British touring car driver, and now coming down towards the second corner. Are we going to see an overtake? It seems like Mike Epps pretty much nailed Hell Corner there though, so it looks like it's going to be all single file across the mountain and all single file into turn 2 as well.
Yep, and Mike Epps will just have to wait that little bit. Again, we talk about fuel. Who knows how long this Honda can go? Well, I'm sure the number 370 Simply Racers and Show team knows how long they want to go, knows whether they want to go through the undercut or through the overcut onto Mike Epps.
Yeah, a bit of scary onboard footage for you right now, following on with that big Bentley, just using it as a bit of a guide, letting it punch a bit of a hole in the air for you. You follow through now into not the corner before McPhillamy car. Yeah, there you go. And this is McPhillamy Park, the left-hander with all the gravel on the outside and where all the people sit. And now down towards Skyline and the little chicane here. And then the Dipper here, the Spares Box Dipper, as it's advertised just on this ACC game. And now towards Forest Elbow, where Chaz Mostert had a huge accident down in 2016, I want to say. It's time's flying these days, so I don't actually know. As Mike Epps has come through it, and now down towards the chase.
Yeah, and I have to compliment you and your corner names and your back history here at Bathurst is much better than mine. I just go for the S's. I did some quick checkup beforehand, and I thought, well, hello. The S's, I'll just randomly spout those out on stream and I'll look clever.
Yeah, well, it's as I keep mentioning, I've always wanted to actually. We just cut to Mike Epps for a moment. Here we go, almost bang on the hour. So splitting it exactly in half there is Mike Epps, and now he's into the pit lane. But yeah, I've always wanted to call a race here at Bathurst. So I've watched a lot of Bathurst racing over the time. So I kind of learned without the. I have got a track mark up right now, just in case I do get stuck, like I did at turn 2. But yeah, I do tend to remember because it's one of my favourite circuits, basically.
Is that your Wikipedia track map?
Yes.
imagine not just searching up the track map and just going onto images and getting...
Well, no, I did go onto images, but I always found the Wikipedia image to view. But I always Google image it, that's for sure. Ralph Piringer into the pit lane, so is Simon Crane. So it seems that the pit stops, or this is the time to take your pit stop. There's the Mercedes, is just going through the Bentley just ever so slightly. And there is Mike Epps just being driven through slightly by Simon Crane, but obviously that's all okay. And now Tobin Lee gets into that car for Mike Epps. And now he's going to be on his way. Where is he going to come out in relation to Johannes Weiss, though, when his teammate gets into the car?
Yeah, and let's see where they will feed out. Number 370. Simply Ray Sancho car will come out of the pits, but Simon Crane also in the pits as well right now.
Yeah, indeed. Johannes Weiss is going to be swapping out for Philip Matzik, who was the Sim4 Race 12-hour champion or winner in 2019. So there you go. There's your actor of the day. Miles Dixon leaves the pit lane. His Bentley. It seems that Ralph Piringer is still in the pit lane, so he's being massively jumped here. And the Mercedes, or the Euronics Mercedes cars, seem to have taken a lot of damage early on, as did the Mustang Mercedeses. And so they're spending a lot of time in the pit lane.
Yeah, and that is not a good sign for them at all. Tim Yarshall makes his way into the pits, and he's almost going to lap Simon Crane's car, who's still not out of the pits. But Yarshall into the pits. Let's see where he will feed out, as we have already seen. Well, Pedersen still out, and we'll have to wait and see how far Pedersen can go.
Yeah, indeed. Probably quite a long way, given the fact that Burst Esport like to go quite a long way on one set of tyres. So let's go and look at Tobin Lee now, because he is going to be right where Johannes Weiss is, who's in the pit lane. So interesting to see what happens here as Tobin Lee comes towards the chase. It's going to have to be a very good outlap from Tobin Lee if he wants to get ahead of Johannes Weiss. And of course he will want to. And it's very difficult when you get into a car to be on the pace immediately, so this is going to be a difficult lap for Tobin Lee.
Yeah, and maybe he'll just be able to use Leica Guard just to, as a nice eye, as a nice gauge, just to be able to pull himself forward, get into the groove just that little bit quicker. Tobin Lee in the second of the Bentleys, sorry, in the third of the Bentleys, because you've got Chris Vickers and Kell both in Bentleys as well.
Yeah, they were momentarily ahead of him, and there we go, out of the final, out the first corner, and Matzik is nowhere to be seen at the moment. So Johannes Weiss's teammate Philip Matzik is still there. This is a long stop for the Honda, and this is what I mean. The Bentleys seem to be way quicker than the pit stop, or the pit stops, than the Hondas.
Yep, not good news for the Hondas at all. And Philip Matzik finally in the car, finally able to get going, but as you mentioned, so far behind so far behind Tobin Lee. Actually, is that Tobin Lee who's just come through turn one?
I don't think it's Tobin Lee. It's one of the Bentleys that he's definitely battling with. I think it might be John Munro, actually. Is it 23? Possibly. I can't quite catch the car number because there was the Honda in the way.
Maybe Chris... No, I think it is Munro.
Chris Vickers is still in the pit lane. Is it John Munro, though? When we select him, what happens? It is John Munro. Oh, no, John Munro's up the road. So who can it be? Miles Dixon, possibly. And it is. So he's dropped so far back. He's in the region of Miles Dixon, who was a long way down as well.
The question is, how far ahead is a Tobin Lee, or Lee, I should say, from Matzik here?
He's quite a long way ahead, if I'm honest. I'm not entirely sure how far, but it's quite far, to use a not very scientific measuring. Tobin Lee is currently just coming towards the chase right now, and Philip Matzik is still at the dipper, so it's a long gap. It's a big gap.
Big gap indeed. Dan Kell is going to be diving into the pits this time around as well. And it's still Jesper Pedersen who is going. He's learned from his teammate Casper Henningsen how to make that Burst Esports Complexity car go a long way.
Yeah, definitely. He's been fuel saving in the Audi there, so he's not going to be giving Henningsen much of a go in this race, I'm afraid, is that is Pedersen just coming through this battle. Miles Dixon had to respect the blue flags there and let him through, and he obliged, of course. So Jesper Pedersen, is he going to come into the pit lane on this occasion? Well, we're expecting probably not, because the Bathurst T-Sport guys like to run a very long way on their fuel, although saying that, here he comes.
Jesper Pedersen definitely not taking a lead out of Casper Henningsen's, but he dives into the pit. Bathurst Esports Simplicity leading the way. They don't need to do any weird strategies. The simple in, out, and shake the fuel all about.
Yeah, well, yeah, hopefully it all goes in, but yeah, they will be down there doing the little dance. So yeah, let's see where they're going to come out.
Imagine if the pit just came out and just started doing like a little dance because they've got nothing else to do.
Well, they have got things to do, so maybe not, but we'll see. It seems
the
that
tyres come off quick enough.
Yeah, well, true. It seems that the Audis can run a long way on the fuel, it seems, because Andreasen and Mikkel Mo are both running very long on a tank of fuel as well here, and they were quite a long way down. They're now second and third. I think that's Lucas Schmidt in the background. It looks like one of the Euronics Mercedes is. So it's actually Daniel Frommel we're hearing. Quite possibly, but yeah, it's definitely the 57, and this is a battle for position. Down the inside he goes and nearly over around the corner, but he is through into third position. There is the number 57.
Pits then?
Yes.
He's had enough. He says, "Oh, I've lost the position. I'm just going to dive into the pits, not lose too much as a result." But Lucas Schmidt absolutely flying right now. Then for Euronics Gaming Intel. They currently find themselves a little bit down the order in the championships, if I'm not mistaken, down in 7th place. So a decent result here could be big for them, as that's one of the Porsches feeding up the pits just behind Lucas Schmidt. A few laps down, I think that's a Brainegard coming out.
Possibly. I'm not entirely sure. So it looks like Casper Henningsen has got a bit of a gap on Lucas Schmidt, who got in for Tim Yarshall, by the way. Daniel Frommel was in a different car. He's in the 98 for this race. So yeah, down the order. Let's we go back and look at them for now. He's in a battle with Hinsai at the moment, who's in that Bentley, just in behind him. But got battles going on all over the place at the moment, really, including with Andreasen, who hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, indeed. Mikkel Mo, he's going to dive into the pit. So those Audis seemingly having enough. Andreasen still has to pit as well, but let's take a look at where Mikkel Mo feeds at, because before the pit stop he was in 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe he was somewhere around there, on the lower fringes of the top 10, that is for sure, but we've pretty much shaken out all of our pit stops now. We've just got Bennett, Likegaard and so on to come in, so it's going to be interesting to see how the likes of Matzik can get back through the field. But we've had our first hour here at Mount Panorama. The second hour will be coming up after this break here at the GTR24 Sprint Series, live from Bathurst. welcome back to the mountain for the GTR24 Sprint Series here at Bathurst. Of course, we've got 48.5 minutes to go in this 2-hour race, and we've got Casper Henningsen, as you can see, leading for Burst Esports Simplexity. Lucas Schmidt is chasing him down though, and I believe that gap is coming down on the last lap. He took 1.3 seconds out of him, did the German, so it's going to be a very interesting battle to watch it play out, and yeah, we'll make sure that we keep tabs on it. Tobin Lee is currently in a world of his own at the moment, with Tobin Lee, well, he's in third. He's got 20 seconds ahead of him. He's got 20 seconds behind him as well. So it's all getting very close, but Lucas Schmidt closing the gap at the front of the field. I guess it's just a question of really whether he can catch him or not.
Yeah, and let's see whether Lucas Schmidt can indeed close in onto Casper Henningsen. And we talked about before, you know, the difference between the Mercedes and the Audi, and it seems like the Mercedes just has to pit that little bit longer than some of the other cars, especially, you know, the Honda Philip Matic. He really dropped down the order now behind John Munro as well. But let's see if Lucas Schmidt can close in onto Henningsen. What did you say the gap was? Almost 20 seconds?
It's 20 seconds between Schmidt and Lee, but it is 5 seconds roundabout from Schmidt to Henningsen, and the gap is coming down. 6 tenths on the last lap, so and he's got above 45 minutes. He's going to have at least 23 laps here, 23 laps, so that's a long time to reel a gap like that in. So I reckon we are going to see a battle between those guys.
Well, it's been a good stint from Euronics, a gaming team Intel, especially after the issues they had early on in the race as well, where they just got caught up in traffic, and well, it just really allowed the Burst Esports Simplexity car to pull away. And as I was about to say, Musco GD, they've had such a torrid affair, Ewan.
Yeah, they really have. They're no longer in this race with their 71 car. Pilo Comato deciding to retire that car. And now who was down the order trying to make a move? Primavera, that was it. But I can't see him anymore.
14.
Oh yeah, there he is. I can't see him. I just wasn't looking hard enough. But he's about nearly a minute behind Salsgaard, so he's probably not going to get any more positions out of this race, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and it's such a shame, you know, they qualified first and third in those Mercedes. They were looking so strong, but it just all went to pot. Yeah, Luca Mato, obviously that contact with, well, Matic's teammate, that was dreadful, and well, it was dreadful as well for the number 52 car. You know, they were forced to make a pit stop, drive-through penalty, and it's dropped them all the way down into 5th place. So it's just been Casper Henningsen really in the Burst Esports Simplexity car, and now as well the Euronics gaming team Intel, who have really just picked up the pieces here at Mount Panorama Bathurst.
Yeah, they absolutely have. Just coming across the line there, it was just dipping into the 2-minute 2s there for Henningsen, but Lucas Schmidt a 2-minute 2.2. All the 2s going on at the moment. He's in position 2 as well, but he's going to try and change that. 8 tenths of a second is the margin. He took about 3/4 of a second, should I say, out of Henningsen. It's coming down, and when you see a gap like that coming down just constantly, it can really start to play on your mind, and it may start to get into the head of Casper Henningsen, and that could cause him to drive even slower, meaning the gap comes down even quicker and the cycle starts again. So it's a really dangerous place for the Dane to be out front right now.
Yeah, and Lucas Schmidt as well. You can see Henningsen, and I always like to talk about this, when you can see the car in front of you, it just helps you psychologically. And as you mentioned, Henningsen will be able to see Schmidt in his mirrors, at least on some of those longer straights, and it's just going to be eating away at his mind as well. Need to keep everything calm and collected, but if Lucas Schmidt closes him by another second, he's going to start feeling the effects of some distant tow.
Yeah, and the carrot will really be dangling out in front of Lucas Schmidt right now. As you can see, he's really shaving the temps off of every wall he can really find at the moment. Driving incredibly quickly, as you might expect from him, of course, but yeah, it's a formidable driving performance right now. We're going to see if he can close in. I really would like to see a leading battle throughout the rest of this race, so yeah, it would be very nice to see Lucas Schmidt try and catch up, and with the benefit of the traffic there, Henningsen just had to negotiate a bit of traffic. I believe he got him on the straight there, That was Gert Nielsen he was passing. Even though he got him on the straight, it's still a bit of a distraction when you've got a car in front of you like that.
Yeah, it will be indeed, but it's put a car between himself and Lucas Schmidt, which, I mean, it doesn't really mean much considering it's a back marker, but it kind of just eases again at that mental just a tiny bit and just might allow Henningsen a bit more of a breathing room. But apparently we've got some battles happening around 10th place, and that's Anderson and Frommel, and they're switching positions left, right and centre here as they make their way into Frog's Hollow and through the S's.
Yeah, but in our ear, we're missing I just heard we're missing a massive 10th place rumble, which is quite a good way of describing it, actually. From the looks of it, Daniel Frommel trying to make his way through the field because that car is out of position. We've seen so far in this season that car is very fast on its day, but it doesn't often have its day, I'm afraid. 4th place, it was the only top 10 they've managed so far, and that came way back 2 months ago at the Spa circuit, so they're looking to avenge a bit of or some bad luck that they've had earlier on in this season. And given that they're out of position, they're really trying to make up some moves or make some moves while they're able to.
Yeah, indeed, and well, Frommel is up into 10th, so at least that'll be 1 point going over to the Euronics gaming team, but it won't be enough to really see them jumping up the order. The next team ahead of them is Butler Pal Motorsports. They're in 10th place with 17 points as Frommel big off on the chase, runs completely wide, and that's going to be Anderson really closing in now.
Yeah, he is just closing in that Aston Martin. I don't think he's quite got the pace of Daniel Frommel, but I definitely think he's got more consistency. And even in the background, if you just strain your eyes a little bit, you can see the white Audi of Christian Pallison there as well. He was inside the top 10 before the pit stops, but he had an incident at Reed Park, I believe it was, turn number 5 or 6, one of the two, and he hit the wall. And so there's a bit of a crush from Michi Hoyer now as well, we're hearing, and get that one as quickly as possible. I was about to comment that he was actually really closing on the guy in front of him, Miles Dixon, but he's had a huge off there at McPhillamy Park as well. Seems to be really out of his rhythm.
Yeah, and well, now as we look at Michi Hoyer, he has got Webb all over his back end. So many fights happening towards this back end of the top 10 as they make their way through the S's and down into the Dipper.
I don't think that's Mike Webb, actually. It's one of the Porsches, but it's not Mike Webb, I don't think.
Is that Ugard then?
Ugard or Brian Gard. There's only 2 Porsches, so take your pick.
One of the guards.
One of the 2. Yeah, one of the guards. One of the Danes, of course, who all seem to have their name end in a guard.
Here's you, and does Hoyer have his guard up?
I haven't thought of that before. That's a great one, that is. I'll have to use that. I'll have to stick that one into conversation at some point. That's great, that is. Yeah, that
great chat-up line, wouldn't it?
That's not quite what I was aiming for, but yeah, I see. But there you go. Matt Webb trying to close his...
There's Matt Webb. Okay, he was close. He was close.
It's Lars Ugard, by the way. I've just worked out. It's the 188. But yeah, we're moving swiftly on. Yeah, trying to just close in Daniel Frommel. Let's just see what he's got up to. He's managed to negotiate the chase a bit cleaner this time. Just going to see how Jacob Anderson and Christian Pallison are coping with it. It looks like Anderson has actually been overtaken here.
Yeah, and there are position swaps left, right, and centre. Is that the Aston? Is it?
Yeah, I think it's Sarsgaard.
Inside.
I think that's Steven Sarsgaard trying to get up the inside into the final quarter. There's action going on all over the circuit right now. It's hard to know where to look.
It is, Ewan. So we've got Sarsgaard on Anderson, and then we've got Ugard on Hoyer.
Yeah, well, that's not a positional one, but it's still a thing going on.
Anderson's now past Sarsgaard as well. Sorry, Anderson's lost the position to Sarsgaard.
He's been passed, yeah.
I wonder if he's got some damage. on that?
I think he has. From the way he's falling back right now, I would say he probably has, to be honest, because you're right, he's falling back quicker than you can really say it at the moment, which is unfortunate for him. They've had a great run so far, but it looks like they might not get any points. If they've got damage with 40 minutes to go and they're falling backwards, you can't expect them to magically go forwards again and get into the points.
You can also DSR Nightmare, they're currently down in, well, joint 15th place in the championship. So, well, if they can pick up a point here, that will just help them out slightly. Again, we're talking about a point where a part of the championship where those little points can make such a huge difference. But still, Casper Henningsen leading the way from Lucas Schmidt. And Ewan, are there any updates on those lap times coming in from our leading pair?
Henningsen last time around did a 2 minute 2.9, but Lucas Schmidt was 4 tenths faster than that with a 2.5. So it is continuing to close here. It's hovering around the 2 to 3 second margin at the moment, but it started out when these guys came out of the pit lane, it started at around 5. So Lucas Schmidt is doing a fantastic job. Has he done too much too early here? Has he taken too much out of his tyres at a too early of a stage? And is he going to suffer later on?
I know this is in the endurance race, but I refuse to believe there is a too early to put the hammer down. Lucas Schmidt is flying and he's closing in onto Casper Henningsen. Question is, does Casper Henningsen have anything left in the bottle?
That is the big question, really. He's got to make sure that he will be defending his position very astutely in this race. 3.0 for Henningsen on that time around. What did Schmidt do? It was a 2.3, 7 tenths of a second for Schmidt on Henningsen. And you've got to say, though, Henningsen might have a bit of an easier job defending his position here, because I think the Audi has got the straight line edge on the Mercedes.
We were talking about Audi versus Mercedes earlier, and we were wondering which one has more of a top end, and I personally think it's on the Mercedes, actually. I know the Audi was very fast at the Hungaroring in the straights, but that was compared to the likes of the Lexus and the Porsches. I think the Mercedes does have a fair bit of grunt, but it probably is very close, Ewan.
Yeah, I would imagine it is very close. So the slipstream that Schmidt is going to get may well pay dividends in the end here. So we'll just have to wait and see, really. I just remember one thing that Hani Al-Sabti said after the Spa race. He said that he was very worried about the Audis in a straight line and in the high-speed corners. So I'm just basically at any high-speed moment, the Audis are very dangerous. That's all I remember Hani Al-Sabti saying, although the different wing settings that these guys are running could make a difference.
And I'm just taking a quick look at... I've just decided to open it up. What are all the fastest cars on ACC? So Lamborghini is apparently the fastest, well, in terms of top speed anyway. And then you've got the Bentley and Ferrari, but it's not giving you all the cars, so that's rather annoying.
Yeah, maybe they haven't tested them all out yet, but it's hard to know, really, who's going to be fastest, as Matt Webb is into the pit lane now. What is this about? Because he shouldn't be making a pit stop, and he is. So is there damage going on here? You've got to expect that there probably is, because any pit stop at this stage has got to be... he's crashed. Okay, a crash. So, yeah, unscheduled pit stops. It's going to drop him out of the points.
Oh, that is absolute disaster for Webb in that Bentley. The Bentleys were running so well as well for a second or for a few laps at a time, but it is still Lay who leads the way for the Bentley team, let's say.
Yeah, crash at the Forest Elbow we're hearing on the run down towards it anyway. So he's going to be dropping. Oh, big crash for Michi Hoyer! His second one of this stint, and he's... Oh no! Into the Porsche there. I think it was Lars Ugard again making his appearance, and it's a bit of an unwanted one, I'm afraid, because Michi Hoyer, with his second excursion of this stint, has got much bigger damage on this occasion.
Oh, that is awful news for Michi Hoyer, but that is great news for Fromel, Pallison and Salzgaard. They will all be gaining some really nice and well-needed points in the championship as well. And we were saying Team Rookie Monsters, they are actually racing. It is Sai who is in the car, in the Bentley, running in 8th and will be moving up into 7th, I'm sure, shortly.
Yeah, that is the 73 car, which is a little bit further down the order than this 37 car. I don't think... Oh no, 73 has scored 4 points with an 8th position back at Spa. So they have managed to score points in this season, but just not very many of them, as Michi Hoyer in the 55 into the pit lane. It's been a while since we've seen Michi Hoyer in this series, and we may have just seen why just there.
It's quite weird actually when you look at the championship. Whenever one of the Team Rookie Monsters team scores points, the other one doesn't, and vice versa. So interesting to see that that's the case then.
Yeah, it seems so. It's a bit of a weird one that, but meanwhile, at the front of the field, it's Casper Henningsen versus Lucas Schmidt. The battle is on here. 33 minutes to go, and Lucas Schmidt can take this position whenever he wants, given the pace he's got right now. It seems that he's got the pace to do anything at any stage. There's a lot of lap traffic in the way at the moment. We'll just have to wait and see how this incredibly exciting battle is going to pan out.
And let's see if we have to hear Nick Newcomb coming on the team radios and making sure that people abide by those blue flags, because Casper Henningsen, he's going to be wanting these back markers to cause him no issues at all. Lucas Schmidt might be 7/10 of a lap quicker on some laps, but it's a very, very long lap here at Mount Panorama Bathurst. And we already talked about that Audi speed, and you mentioned how Hani Al-Sabki, he talked about how devastatingly fast these Audis can be in a straight line. Let's see what the Mercedes Grunt can do against Casper Henningsen's Audi.
Lucas Schmidt just got caught up a little bit behind Braingard there in the 166. Thomas Braingard just went wide at the cutting, but it wasn't enough for Lucas Schmidt, who was very tentative getting through the traffic, and that's not what you need right now, because he's given Henningsen just a little bit of breathing space as they're coming onto the back of another Aston Martin now. So there's going to be more traffic for these guys to negotiate, and this is going to be the battle really. Getting through traffic is as difficult as actually lapping on your own around here.
Yeah, and traffic can always play such a big part in these fights. Definitely played a part in Hungary and Zolder, where there was a lot of talk about the back markers getting in the way of some battles, but so far here at Bathurst it has all been good, or dare I jinx it now.
Yeah, don't do that, as the Aston Martin just gets in the way of Henningsen. He's got a right to be there, but the blue flags will inform him to get out of the way, and there he goes. 2 drivers left, just picks his way out of the way, and now Lucas Schmidt is going to have to negotiate that piece of traffic, and this is going to be the battle. It's just going to ebb and flow throughout this race, and now here we go. The Aston Martin's just going to pull to the left. He's going to let Lucas Schmidt through rather smartly.
And I don't think the Aston held up either Henningsen or Schmidt there. Henningsen, caught right up to the back of the Aston Martin on the exit of the chase, so didn't really lose any time. So I think that was a pretty good job from the back marker. But Lucas Schmidt, you can see Henningsen ahead, and they've got through the majority of the traffic now, so he can get his head back down and start focusing and try to get Euronics Gaming Team Intel their second win. We talked about how they hadn't got a single point all season until Hungary, and then when they get in the points, that they picked up a win, and Schmidt is looking to do that again.
Yeah, once they start scoring points, they just can't stop at this point. Can they take 2 wins in a row? That's the big question. And are they going to prevent Burst Esport from taking their 3rd win of the season? And if they were to win here, Euronics would really put themselves they'll really put their hat into the ring for this championship, scoring 5th out of 2 rounds. They could really make a charge in the latter portion of this series. They would still be 36 points behind Burst Esport, but with the form they're on at the moment, who can really stop them right now?
Well, Burst Esports will be hoping that they'll be able to stop them at some point, and Musto as well. Musto have been, showing great pace, but again, so unfortunate, and you can't really blame them either. Well, to be honest, from Pesquedo, it was his own fault. He made contact with the barriers through the S's, but in the other Musto GD car, no fault of his own, and we just saw tap on that rear leader sent spinning, and that was their race pretty much donezo's. And Pesquedo, he came into pits. Primavera has taken over. He's now in 12th place, but he's a fair bit behind Hoyer and Anderson, and those points are looking very, very elusive right now.
Yeah, they definitely are. So this battle just currently about 1 second for the lead of the race. These guys just kind of matching lap times right now, and we'll see how they progress. But I think it's time for one last time break before we take you to the green all the way to the flag. So the final half an hour here at the GTR24 Sprint Series at Bathurst. The battle for the lead will be coming up after this break. Welcome back to the GTR24 Sprint Series here from Bathurst. What a fantastic race we have had so far, and it is by no means over. 25 minutes to go, and the chase is on as they go through the chase for the 46th time indeed now. So it's going to be just a fantastic battle here, and it's really a 50-50 for who's going to win this race, because either car looks capable right now.
Yeah, both cars do look very capable indeed, and Casper Henningsen are leading Lucas Schmidt, but Lucas Schmidt being closing and closing and closing, you know, those half a seconds each lap have finally paid off, and he's definitely getting a toe from the Audi now. But we talk about the difference in cars. Is that Mercedes kinda on its tires, and the Audi has Lucas Schmidt already pulled out a little bit too much from his tires, trying to close in onto Casper Henningsen. Time will tell. Tobin Lee is in third place in the number 370 Simply Race Sancho car. They're having a fantastic time and will be pulling in a nicer 15 points to add to their current championship tally.
Yeah, that will be good for those guys. Currently in 5th position in the Sorry, 6th position. No, even further down than that, aren't they? They're quite a long way down, actually. But I can't find them at the moment. Oh, 7th, there they are. Tied 7th with the Euronics. The 57, the one we're watching right now, the Schmidt. Yeah, it's a good points haul for those guys, and very quiet they've been so far in this race, but that seems to be the way to race at Bathurst, really. If you're on the camera that very much, then you're probably doing it wrong, because it means you're getting caught up in all these incidents, and that's what you need to avoid primarily at Bathurst.
Yeah. And I'm just going to put it out there, you know, we were talking about for the championship, we need to definitely see Schmidt find a way past Henningsen. Maybe even if Henningsen has a split. So if we could just, you know, keep our eyes on Henningsen, not to jinx him or anything, just so that if something does happen, you know, we're there and ready to deliver the story to our viewers.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm just kind of on the edge of my seat right now, trying to... just waiting for this battle to really commence. So I do wonder if Schmidt has taken a little bit too much out of his tyres, but I also wonder if Henningsen was just holding something back while he was being caught, and now that he has been caught, he's just unleashing a little bit of pace, because he did a 2.7 on that lap time around, and he was struggling to get into the 2s before he was caught. So I just wonder if Henningsen was playing a little bit of a sneaky game, holding something back for when Schmidt actually got up to the back of him.
Well, to be honest, if I was Henningsen, I would have, you know, at least a little bit of something a little bit before now, before Lucas Schmidt really got into that toe. But now that Schmidt's in the toe, if you just pull out that extra tenth or two, it doesn't really make much of a difference, just because Schmidt is able to pull with you with that drive that he's going to be able to find on the Conrad Straight and on the Mountain Straight.
Yeah, in the runs between, or run to the first corner and where the timing line is towards the second sector, my screen for reading 0.3 of an improvement for Lucas Schmidt, and that just shows how much pace you can really gain when you're sat in behind somebody like he is right now. And there is traffic. That is Daniele Brambilla in front of them. He is 17th at the moment in the 68 McLaren. And this is the Bend Motorsport car, the Bend Motorsport Park McLaren. He is driving at the moment. I believe that's him anyway, just up front as they come towards the elbow. He is quite similar on pace to these guys. He had that crash earlier, if you remember, with Matt Beavis at the cutting. So he's running down the field, but he does have the pace of these two front runners, so he may be a nuisance in this battle.
Yeah, and, well, we've seen that gap between Brambilla and Henningsen. It was only about 3 seconds before we went to an ad break, you know, even a few laps before that, and now the gap's only just over a second. So Brambilla, fully expecting 2 laps time, he'll just get out of the way of these two, and then he'll just slot in, and he'll probably stick with them all the way until the end of the race.
Quite possibly, that'll be what he's hoping for, but unfortunately he's running down in 17th. I don't think he's going to be gaining any more positions from this race, considering that he's over a minute behind Matt Webb in 13th, in 16th. He's had issues of his own, don't forget, but neither of them are going to be getting any points from this one. Henningsen nearly a 2.9 on that occasion, but look at that Mercedes in behind. Lucas Schmidt is right in behind that Audi right now, getting the full aero benefit of a nice slipstream down Mountain Straight at the moment under the Audi Sport Bridge, and now dipping down towards turn number 2. Is he going to go to the inside? He's just getting into the head of Henningsen, making him defend a little bit, but no moves being made on this lap just yet.
Not this lap, and I believe our producer Peter said that there was going to be a move this time round on the Conrad Straight. Well, Peter's pretty good at predictions, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like it, but it's probably the best overtaking opportunity that Schmidt's going to get, to be honest. Another opportunity that he's going to get, though, is in the traffic. I just saw quite a lot of traffic, also involving Christian Pallison in his chase down of Daniel Fromelt. There's a lot of traffic surrounding those guys, as well as Brambilla in front of these guys, so it's going to get incredibly tasty across the top of the mountain when these two have to negotiate traffic.
Yeah, man, they're still closing in onto that Aston Martin. The gap, though, over a second, so I'm not going to lie, Brambilla will be giving that little bit of a toe to Casper Henningsen, and it might just be enough to deny Lucas Schmidt a move up for the lead. Also, just want to keep an eye on Daniela Primavera, because he's closing in onto Michi Hoyt. That's the battle for 10th place, and that would be a massive, massive redemption for Musto GD, being able to pick up a point after all of the bad luck that they've had in the race so far.
yeah, it would at least be some constellation for them. They've had a bit of a torrid time of it, so it would be nice to see them pick up a point. I don't know if they're going to manage it though. It's going to be close between those two, no doubt. It's also close in these four up front right now. It's currently a battle of two, but they're having to negotiate traffic. It's Brambilla, and it looks like Ugard as well involved. And don't forget, both Porsches are now damaged after incidents. One of them hit Michi Hoyer, and I can't remember what happened to the other one, but I do remember that Porsches have had a torrid time of it in this race so far. The best running of them is 14th after taking a 1, 2, 3, 4 last race. They've really struggled in this one, and they may become a bit of a problem in this battle if they're not careful.
Well, the Aston will pass the Porsche, but the Porsche just getting pulled. Oh, and that's really, really bad for Lucas Schmidt. The Porsche right on the apex through Quarry, and he just did not spot that Lucas Schmidt was right on his tail. Look how much time Lucas lost there, and well, if he doesn't find a way past Casper Henningsen, you know who he's going to point a finger at.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't great backmarkering, if that's a word, from that Porsche there. Really needs to get out the way quickly because he's now holding him up as they come through the left-hander now, and he's still in the way, I'm afraid, through McPhillamy now. And let's see if he just pulls to the left-hand side. Is he going to? Yes, he's going to use the tarmac on the left-hand side there to just get out the way, thankfully, but that gap may become irreversible now. Lucas Schmidt has lost 2.7 seconds on his best lap time. I know that they're not running their best laps right now, but I believe that he's lost at least a second, maybe a second and a half to Casper Henningsen in front, maybe even more.
And all of the hard work that Lucas Schmidt put in, all undone by one back marker. But then again, everything can turn back in his favour. You don't know how long it will take for the Aston Martin to get out of the way of a Casper Henningsen. The battle for the lead really, really starting to spice up between Burst Esports Complexity and the Euronics Gaming Team Intel.
Yeah, what happens if Brambilla just doesn't get out the way of Henningsen here? That gap could really flip on its head once again. Let's see what. Oh, never mind. We can put that one in the bin because Brambilla has just got out of the way.
I've got one for you, Ewan. What if Brambilla now finds more time and does an Ocon onto Verstappen?
Quite possibly. Yeah. Although, okay, I'm not going to say that actually because you'll argue with me, but
oh no,
yes.
I agree. That was Verstappen's fault. I was 100%.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to disagree with that.
Oh no.
Yeah, okay.
If that car comes to overtake you and has more space, he's fully entitled to do so. There's nothing in the rules against it. If they were on the same lap and that battle had happened, Verstappen would have got a penalty for contact. So
yes, probably. And he did defend it to number one as well, so just saying. Anyway, Schmidt there on the previous lap did a 2 minutes 5.7, which is 2.9 seconds slower than Henningsen, and this could really cost him the race, not only in that 3-second margin that has just opened up, but but psychologically, that is so difficult to recover from. To get back into your rhythm is just nearly impossible.
Well, I tell you what, if Lucas Schmidt does get back into his rhythm, the pressure just switches right back over onto Casper Henningsen. Henningsen's been given a bit of breathing room, and if he squanders that, it's just going to be in his head that he's thrown away an advantage at 2 at time, and then he'll have a raging Mercedes right on his back. Maybe if we could just keep an eye on those lap times, on those second times to see if Lucas Schmidt is making any progress onto Casper Henningsen.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, really. It's going to be a race against time for these guys right now. 15 minutes to go. We've just ticked over and ticking towards the flag here. It's going to come too soon for Lucas Schmidt, quite possibly. He's going to still be able to see Casper Henningsen up in front of him. Excuse me, but it's not quite coming down as quickly as Schmidt would like, that's for sure. And what did he take out of his tyres earlier on? What has Henningsen got left? So many unanswered questions as they come over the line. It's a 2.5 from Henningsen. That's exactly what he needs. And he's actually extended the margin by 6/10 of a second. Maybe this is going the wrong way for Schmidt now. And it may not come back.
Schmidt doing a 2:03.1 that time around. And, well, good laps coming in from Henningsen. Also, we just keep an eye slightly further down the order. John Munro and Philip Matzik, we know Matzik in that 5.56 car, the Butler Pal Motorsports. Remember, they were leading the race at one point until that contact with the Musto GD car, which at the time was leading, saw them forced to take a drive-through penalty. How far away is Matzik from John Munro?
It will be interesting to see. I think it's 8 seconds maybe at the moment. Yeah, it's 7 seconds, 7.5. So it's coming down though by about half a second a lap. It's going to get closer, but I don't think that gap is going to into a battle, as Daniele Primavera and Hinsai are currently battling. And let's see if Primavera gets out of the way here, because that's Matzik we're currently watching get through these guys. And the blue flags will be waving right now. He get out of the way though, that is the question. He just pulls the driver's left at the moment. He's going to let Matzik get through, but will he let Hinsai through as well? That would really be a problem for him, because the Bentley's good in a straight line. Is he just going to follow that Honda through onto the inside in turn number 2? He's just going to stick behind for now because he's a little bit too far back.
Yeah, indeed he will, and I wonder if Primavera still has some damage, but look how close Sai is getting. He's having a little look into the cutting, but decides against it, and you can tell that Primavera is probably thinking inside the cockpit, if I didn't have any damage, I would be faster than you right now, Matzik, but, well, you do have some damage onto that car, and he has to deal with that damage, and deal with Hinsai right on his tail in another Bentley.
Yeah, another one of those Bentleys that these guys, some of them, will be haunted by them by the end of this race. Look at this at the moment. Defensive almost there from Primavera. Not sure quite what he's doing or what he intends to do right now, but it looks like this is going to be a bit of a one-way street here with Hinsai getting through on Primavera. It's hard to see the Mercedes really holding that Bentley back, because definitely looks a little bit damaged, and Sai looks like he's got a little bit more pace.
Definitely does look that way in Primavera. Again, this isn't even for points right now. It's just hopeful that if something does happen ahead, Primavera wants to be in that position where he can pick up a point for Musto GD Esports in, well, in a race where 2 Musto GD cars should have arguably have been on the podium, to a race where both Musto GD cars are out of the points. And again, we mentioned it again and again, absolute disaster for them here at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not been a good day for those guys at all, especially down in Musto Camp, in Musto World, or whatever you want to call it. They'll be particularly displeased with everything that's going on right now, and it seems that they've had a lot of drop points, particularly the 71, because I think they probably could have won last week at the Hungaroring, to be honest, and they may have been able to win at Zolder as well. They came second in both of those occasions. And in Spa, they maybe could have done a bit better as well. I think they've lost a few points, and that's really going to add up towards the end of the season. There's 12 rounds, and if you bottle or just lose 2 points on each round, that's 24 points, which is very significant.
Yep, indeed it is. And, you know, again, it's important to remember Musto aren't out of this championship just yet. And, well, if anything, these kind of late championship battles, there's always one that comes to my mind, and for any motorbike riders out there, that was a Danny Pedrosa and a Jorge Lorenzo in, I think, what must have been about the 2013 MotoGP season, or maybe 2012, back when Stoner was in the Honda and Pedrosa was so far behind in the championship. But let's just hold that thought. It's very close into the S's.
It is. Primavera was forced to take a little bit of a strange line, and that seems to be where Hinsai is strongest. Over the top of the mountain, that Bentley is formidable as they go through the areas at McPhillamy and Skyline, where he really tried it. Oh, he nearly went for a Forest Elbow as well. Primavera nearly gave him the room, and now they're going to run down towards the chase. Who is going to go for it here? Is Sai going to just nip it on the inside and go for this one, or are we not going to be able to see it at all? That'll be nice. Here we are, down towards the final corner, it looks like, and yeah.
There we go.
Oh no, here we are, on the outside, through the kink. My goodness me, the commitment there from Hinsai, and now the late braking from the Mercedes Primavera, but he's off the road there. Oh, and into each other. They spin around. They'll be getting any points in this race, and that has just confirmed it.
And Primavera and Sai, I wonder what the officials will say about that. They were side by side, and you know, from first instances, that does look like a racing incident, but of course, you know, race officials will have the benefit of looking at it from the replays, looking at it from multiple angles, and you can be sure that race incident will be under investigation. Daniela Primavera into the pits, and more disaster for the Musto GD team. Can their luck get any worse?
I don't think it can at this point, and they've had a torrid time of it here at Bathurst. They will want to leave this circuit ASAP, I can guarantee you of that one. One of the Lexuses just leaving the pit lane. Alan Hansen, who's been having a bit of a troubled day as well, leaving the pit lane again. I wondered if Primavera was just going to pull the plug there and leave the race, but it seems that he's going to carry on, which is good, because we do want to see these guys get to the end, that's for sure.
So, Casper Henningsen and Luca Schmidt, that's the main battle that's left. Has Schmidt been closing in, or has Henningsen been able to extend out his lead at the front of the pack?
Henningsen has been able to stretch out his lead. I'm afraid all fans of good battling are going to be a little bit disappointed by that one, but it's the truth at the moment. As we just complete lap, or go on to lap number 55, Henningsen has now got a 6-second margin, which you've got to say, with only 8 minutes to go, that's probably not going to come down anytime soon.
No, not looking like it. 8 minutes remaining. I think that equates to about 5 laps or so left here at Mount Panorama Bathurst. We've had over, well, how long has it been? 110 minutes of racing. Casper Henningsen has kept his nose clean of trouble. So has Lucas Schmidt, to be fair, and their respective teammates. But you mentioned here at Mount Panorama, keep your nose clean and it will yield results. And, well, keeping your nose clean is going to yield a 1 and a 2.
It looks like it's going to, for those guys. We were talking earlier in the day how Mercedes were so strong around this circuit. It seems that Audi have thrown that in their face, and Bentley also thrown the pace advantage that Honda have in their face as well here, with a big result for those guys. 3rd and 4th, and nearly 4 cars inside the top 10. If Hinsai was able to get inside the top 10, then that would be the case. But bit of traffic for the race leader to negotiate right now. Alan Hansen is one of them, as is Christian Pallison, and Daniele Brambilla's also here. He's sat on the apex there, Alan Hansen. My goodness, that was close for the race leader, but he's managed to get through, and Alan Hansen just letting everybody here. He's actually run off the road because it's probably safer out there.
Yeah, safer on the grass than it is on the tarmac right now for the Lexus. The only Lexus on circuit, if I'm not mistaken. And usually we talk about the Burst Complexity guys running that Lexus. Not tonight. It is going to be the Audi for them after 4 consecutive races in the Lexus. And, well, it looks like the Audi was a smart choice. It's yielding them results at the moment. They lead the race, 6 minutes remaining.
Yeah, it was a very, very smart choice, it seems, right now, because I was immediately sceptical when I saw them in the Audi. I thought that it's not going to pay off for them because they've just practiced all their time in the Lexus here, so surely they're not going to be very good in the Audi, but they have been nothing but fantastic so far in that car. It looks like they're going to take home a race win and extend their championship margin to 33 points over Musto GD Esports, which, as we keep mentioning, with 7 rounds to go, is a huge margin.
And don't forget as well, Philip Matzik in that Honda for the Butler Power Motorsport team. They were looking so strong, but again, the drive-through penalty and what was a very, very long pit stop in that Honda has cost them, well, first as that's Christian Pallison.
Sorry, Christian Pallison, yeah.
Stationary car sector 2. Stationary car sector 2. Car 73.
He was chasing down, and car 73 is also...
That's Sai.
Oh, yes, it is. Let's see. Stationary car. So where is he? That is the question. He's at McPhillamy as well. I wonder if those two come together. Pallison and Sai. Well, they're on the same portion of the circuit. I know they're not close in terms of their positions, but they are on the same portion of the circuit. And now Sai is big. Well, he's damaged in a big way, isn't he?
I feel that only a couple of laps ago, it was Matzik who was lapping Sai, and I'm pretty sure Pallison was a fair bit back behind Matzik, so maybe it was, but... Oh wait, never mind. Sai made contact, didn't he? So he would have dropped down to around where Pallison was, so you might be right. So back markers coming into play. Sai's going to dive into pitch, which means Primavera might jump back ahead of Hinsai, and well, that would be an entertaining one.
Yeah, it's a bit of a comical one there for everyone. Pallison is just making his way towards... He's got a pit here. There's 4 minutes to go, but he can't keep it on the circuit right now. He was chasing down Daniel Frommel in this race, and it seems that Daniel Frommel has had issues of his own here, has he? Because he's now behind Miles Dixon himself. What is going on here in the latter minutes here at Bathurst? Positions changing all the time, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, I don't have any idea why either, to be honest with you, Ewan, but one thing that I do know is it does mean some pretty big changes in the championship, and it's big changes for the DSR Nightmare team. The number 777, and that's Salzgaard moving up into 8th place. 2 extra points, 4 points in total here from Bathurst. We'll see them move up to a 6 points total and up into 13th place in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very useful for those guys, doubling their points tally with that issue for Christian Pallison. So they will be very much enjoying that. Don't know what happened to Frommel. Apologies for missing that one at home, but yeah, he just seemed to be off the road. Hinsai, by the way, has completed 1 less lap than Christian Pallison. He was a lap down, so I presume that they did come together. They're off at the same... They were off at a very similar portion of the circuit, so you've got to presume that they were together, and Daniel Frommel has got into the wall now as well.
And another man in the top 10 is going to be losing positions. Ugard might be finding himself picking up some points here.
That'll be unbelievable. Ugard has been running around towards the back, with all due respect, for a very long time now, so to see him get any points will be a big surprise. But Pallison has got out in front of him, so he's not going to get ahead of Pallison, but because he's out the pit lane, but Ugard could be on for points.
How far is Salzgaard?
Slow car sector 3, slow car sector 3.
Frommel just has to make a few more laps, but he's struggling. He can't keep it in a straight line, but he's trying to nurse it back.
Car 59, please slow down.
At least. And
engage pit limiter now. Car 59, engage pit limiter now.
You come now, telling Daniel Frommel he's got to go in the pits. That's the equivalent of a black and orange flag. And Frommel, well, actually, who's that in front of them? That's one of the Lamborghinis, and it's really caused Frommel issues. And behind him, who's gone into the wall as well. Crazy scenes in the final minutes, and Frommel, he stays out. He's not going into the pits.
Nick Newcomb said he needs to engage the pit limiter. That doesn't mean he needs to go into the pit lane. It just means he needs to keep a slower pace, but he can't keep it on the road right now. He cannot keep that car on the road. He's gone. He has gone now. He's going to be out of the points at this point, but I think that Casper Henningsen is just with 1 minute left in his lap. I think he's going to be... he's going to end up doing another lap here, so I think we're on the penultimate lap, and that's going to be a disaster for Frommel, because that means he's going to have to do 2 laps.
Oh, as he almost clips the Porsche. That's Ugard, who will claim a 10th place, and a Frommel dropping down the order. Salzgaard will gladly pick up some extra points for the DSR Nightmare team. Frommel, he's trying his absolute best, but he just can't keep it going in a straight line. He can barely keep it on the tarmac. An absolute disaster for Salzgaard. And again,
car 59, engage pit limiter now.
And apparently there you can hear Nick Newcomb still saying engage the pit limiter. So Frommel still hasn't put that limiter on.
Yeah, he's still going at more than 80 k's an hour, I believe is the pit limiter. Maybe a little bit slower here because it's quite a tight pit lane. But yeah, he definitely looks like he is currently he's into the wall again. This is dangerous. This is dangerous. Casper Henningsen there, I believe he tried to slow down just a little bit to try and make sure he didn't have to do the extra lap, but he's definitely going to have to. Because he did a 2-minute 4 on that lap, which is slower than normal for him, but he still had 12 seconds remaining, so it's going to be a lap of honour here for Burst Esport.
Yeah, Casper Henningsen, you can't fault him one bit. Same for Lucas Schmidt and LA. They both had absolutely flawless drives. No mistakes from any of them, and it's going to yield each of them podiums. Audi, Mercedes and Bentley. Arguably, we should have seen more Mercedes at the top. But, wow, Casper Henningsen looking to pick up the 3rd victory for Burst Esports in Mexico. And after what was a questionable week at Hungary for them, Casper Henningsen will make his way now through Frog Hollow it definitely won't be a hollow victory for Mr. Henningsen.
No, absolutely not. He's negotiated Daniel Fromelt as well, who this will be his final lap as well. Even though he didn't take the proverbial white flag, he will still get the final lap. And when he next crosses the line, that will be it. And that will come as a relief to him, I'm sure. But will he get points in this race? He's got Pallison, Ugard and Primavera, who could all take him here and who could all gain points themselves. So are they going to be able to? That's the big question for those guys.
I think only Ugard picks up a point. He'll move up into 10th place, which he has done. That's going to be it. Casper Henningsen makes his way down into the chase, but there is no one chasing him down. Lucas Schmidt earlier on was definitely chasing, but back markers ruined all the chances for Euronics Gaming Team Intel.
Yeah, they did, and Lucas Schmidt just took a little bit out of his tyres early on and allowing Casper Henningsen to take the win. The train of lap cars in behind him here. Thomas Braingard just in front of him, but it's Casper Henningsen's moment. Burst Esports Simplexity win on the mountain here at Bathurst and extend their championship lead to 33 points. What a drive from those guys. An absolutely fantastic race from them, and you can't fault them in any respect. They've been absolutely fantastic. Goodness me, Casper Henningsen, what a drive, and a great drive from Jesper Pedersen as well. Lucas Schmidt can't get out of the game quick enough right now. He is already gone, and I'm presume he is not very pleased with that back marker many laps ago. Personally, I don't think he would have got the points anyway. However, I still think that, I think he just took too much out of his tyres early on, and that would have done for him anyway, no matter whether he would have got onto the back of Henningsen again or not.
Yeah, Simply Race Zancha, though, they'll be happy with a third, an extra 15 points to their tally. They move up into 5th place, if I'm not mistaken. And, well, they close in on to Musto GD Esports, who retain 2nd place in the championship.
Yeah, they will indeed. The orders are just a little bit confused right now because when people leave the session, they get left on the side of the screen as well. So it's a little bit confusing with who is actually where right now. But there you go. The 2 hours at the Mount Panorama circuit. Don't forget, if you are a driver, then you can pull yourself into the green room and we'll pull you up for an interview after the race. It will be the post-race show coming up after the break. Don't go anywhere and we'll have the reaction from Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Welcome back to the GTR24 Sprint Series here from Mount Panorama, Bathurst. The race has finished, unfortunately. It was a very entertaining one, but in the end, Burst Esport won out against the Euronics number 57 in a pretty much stint-long battle for the final hour. And now we are joined by Casper Henningsen, the one who won out eventually in that said battle. And Casper, first thing I have to ask is, how worried were you when you saw that gap to Lucas Schmidt was coming down almost constantly? Schmidt seemed to have a little bit more pace than you early on, and the gap was really coming down. So what were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, I was really glad that Jesper had made some gap for me because I really needed it. And as you saw, the first 30 minutes probably of that stint, he just kept gaining and gaining on me, and the Merc was just flying on the straights. And yeah, once he got close, I tried to defend, and good for me. The Audi was a bit faster, it seemed, over the mountain, and that way I can get keep a pretty good gap constantly to the Euronics car, but they kept chasing, and fair play to those guys.
Yeah, they did indeed. They ended up coming second in the end. But talk me through your car selection for this race, because you've gone into every race so far this season, apart from Spa. But the last three races, you've chosen the Lexus. However, you decided to abandon the Lexus for this race and go for the Audi. So what was the thinking behind that one?
Yeah, the Lexus is quite good on the small tracks, and for this one we just didn't have the top speed in the Lexus, and therefore we chose the Audi. But even though we thought we had the upper hand on the Audi, we could just see that the Bentley and the Mercedes were just flying. But when we tested them, they were a bit more unstable, and we thought for this race, with the tight sections, we needed something we could drive to the limit all 2 hours.
Yeah, well, that is fair enough. Just a little bit of a surprise after 3 weeks of choosing the Lexus going to the Audi. Now, talk us through what you're going to be thinking going into next round. In 2 weeks' time, of course, we're going to be back here again for the Sprint Series, but we're going to be at Suzuka, which is very different to Bathurst, but very difficult all the same. So, how are you feeling? How are you and Jesper, most of all, feeling going into that race in 2 weeks?
We should definitely try out the Lexus, because that is our favorite car of choice. But if the Lexus can't handle the top speed, then probably the Audi again, because that really it's a stable and you can really drive consistently, leave fast times on it.
Yeah, so there you go. That's a little bit of inside information. Hopefully it goes well for you. So see you in 2 weeks, Casper Henningsen, and yeah, I hope it goes well for you.
Thank you very much.
And also joined by a couple more drivers, but I don't think, do I have the power to give them talk power? That is the question, because we're now joined by Tobin Lee and John Munro as well. But I don't. Do I have the? Can I make them speak or not? We'll talk to Toby Lee first, because they came third, and then we'll go to John Monroe, who's fourth. There we go. Toby Lee can now actually talk. So there you go. Number 370 there for the Simply Races Ancho car. Toby Lee finishing off that race in the end. How was that second stint for you? You seemed pretty lonely from where else, actually. You didn't seem to be near anyone really, but you did in the end manage to pick up a third, so you must be pretty pleased with your stint.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when my teammate Mike Epps was in the car at the beginning, he did a good job to qualify us pretty high up, and then all throughout the race pace in our Bentley was actually pretty good. Like, we were competitive up the front, and ultimately though, to be honest, like, when I got in the car, we had a bit of a problem with the pressures on the left-hand side of the car, and they were quite low. and even on the latter end of this race, I managed to do a 360. I'm not sure if it's caught on stream, but I did a full 360 coming down the mountain and kept out the wall and continued, because we were running 23 psi on the left-hand side, which was a complete nightmare. But pace was still good. It was a pretty lonely race, as you say, but it was, you know, we're chuffed, to be fair, to get a P3. I think that's a really good finish, and yeah, pretty happy.
By the way, no, we didn't see that 360 down the mountain. I'm glad I didn't, to be honest, because it must have been quite scary. Just talk us through what it's been like in this Bathurst circuit, because it is quite a scary place, and as you've now found out, when it goes wrong, it really does go quite wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I think these cars in particular do actually do a really good job of making Bathurst a very digestible circuit, but it's still deadly, and so it's testament to just how many things can go wrong around here. It's unbelievable, but yeah, again, with a good setup and everything, I think it's relatively tameable, and if the pressures weren't low, hopefully I wouldn't have gone round. So yeah.
Well, yeah, there you go. Just as well, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be going to Suzuka, as we mentioned with Casper a moment ago. How are you and Mike feeling? How are you and Mike Epps feeling going into to that race? Because I'd imagine it would not be the best circuit for a Bentley, I must admit.
Yeah, I think to be honest, the Bentley is just proving. I mean, we thought the same about quite a few of these tracks, to be honest, but we kind of stick with it, and it's really proving us wrong. Like, even around Bathurst, I mean, I wasn't really aware of how overpowered or whatever the Bentley would be around here, but it always seems to prove us wrong, that it's a good race car, and we kind of like enjoy taking it out wherever we can. So hopefully for Suzuka, it's a track that Mike and I have a bit more experience on this game, which is good, but hopefully the Bentley can do us proud once again.
Yeah, hopefully it does. So good luck with that in 2 weeks' time, and yeah, we'll see you at that Suzuka race.
Cheers, thanks.
That was Tobin Lee from the Simply Races Andrew car. Now we'll talk to John Munro, who was fourth position in that race. So a very good outing for the Bentleys, and a very good race for Simply Race as well. So yeah, John, just talk us through your stint there. Again, it seems like a bit of a lonely one, but must be pretty pleased with fourth position. It's a very good result, you have to say.
Yeah, we're really happy with that, to be honest, Ewan. It's the first time we've managed to get through lap one without too many big incidents, so we did take a little bit of damage when someone hit us at the back, but to be honest, the car felt good throughout. Ross did an amazing job to get us up from, I think, 13th in qualifying to being about P6 by the time we got to the pit stops, so he did a brilliant job, and also just trying to keep out of trouble because there was a few big shunts in front of us. And then my job was really, really simple, to be honest, because I think when I came out the pit stop, I had about a 12 to 13 second gap to the car behind, and Tobin was the car in front, and so for me it was a very, very lonely race, and it was just simply a case of managing the gap back to P5. Sadly, I did get a bit of a slow puncture with the last 12 minutes, so it was a bit more tricky to manage, but generally there's not really much to report. It was just a solid result, and nice to finally kind of get a decent result without any major incidents throughout the race, and obviously I think that result's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it seems so. Just talk us through what it's like watching your teammates start the race, because I know you'll obviously trust Ross McGregor to start the car, but when you're in the pack and there's all kinds of chaos flying all over the place, left, right and centre, just what is it like watching somebody else start the car in arguably the most stressful part of the race?
It's pretty much, I'd probably describe it as being more stressful than driving the car, to be honest, especially around Bathurst, you know. I very much trust Ross. He's probably one of the most consistent drivers I know, and he's very aware as well, so his strengths aren't really one lap pace, but he's very, very good at being nice to his tyres and being consistent, so I do trust him very much. And to be fair, there was a couple of big shunts right in front of us, and he reacted superbly to get on the brakes at the right time and avoid them, so yeah, it's alright. But as I say, the previous three races, I started the first two and kind of got spun out or squeezed out in the first lap, and then he started the third one and got spun out as well, so it's just been one of those things where we've come to expect it, you know, and it's just luck and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But you know, around Bathurst, you always have to be careful, but he did a great job, and thankfully then it made my job a lot easier.
Yeah, that is true. Just talk us through what you're thinking going in to the Suzuka race in 2 weeks' time then. I know I ask everybody this, but it's always good to get a feel for what teams are thinking going into an event. As I said to Tobin, it seems that, or it would seem to me, that the Bentley would be a little bit difficult or at the Suzuka circuit. So, how are you feeling going into that race?
I'm feeling kind of similar to how we have for the rest of them, to be honest. I do quite like Suzuka. It was the first race I ever did in this game was around Suzuka, so it'll be nice to go back and do a second race at a track I've done before. To be honest, the Bentley's seems to be a very nice all-rounder, so it's never really going to be right up there in qualifying, but we tend to have good race pace and we're very good in our tyres, and the car's very drivable as well, so I don't think the Bentley's really one to pick. You know, if you're going to choose the fastest car for each track, I don't really think the Bentley's ever the fastest, but it's always kind of somewhere in the middle and very consistent. So we just like to stick with the same car. We know what we've got under us, and it's it's quite nice. I guess it's nice in the broadcast as well to kind of know which car to look out for, and it just means that we can all stick together and work on the same thing. So yeah, regardless of car and how the car performs, it's going to be good either way, and I think we can scrape together some good results.
Yeah, it is useful, so thanks for that. Yeah, there you go. John Monroe, 4th position for you guys. Thanks for talking to us as well, and good luck for Suzuka in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers, Ewan.
Now there you go, we've spoken to 3 of the drivers. Obviously I think the guys in 2nd place for Euronics are a little bit displeased with how the race has gone, so we're not going to be able to get those guys in, but we've had a good chat with some of these guys, and it's good to get the thoughts of everybody from what was, to be honest, quite a chaotic race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was exceptionally chaotic, and again, it was all on... I don't even mind what happened further down the order. It was just that battle at the lead. Both Musto cars getting some misfortune, some of it self-inflicted and some of it not self-inflicted, as a drive-through penalty kind of showed. So yeah, really bad luck for them. Excited to see them come back to, well, winning ways next time out at Suzuka. But you know what I'm super excited for, Ewan?
What's that?
4 weeks time on Laguna Seca, because I reckon we're not going to see any Bentleys there. I think it's going to be a Lexus and a Porsche showdown.
Oh, I've got no idea what's going to be good around Laguna Seca, but that it really is looking ahead towards the future. As you say, in 1 month's time, we're going to be going to Laguna Seca. As we mentioned, in 2 weeks, we're going to be at Suzuka, and then we'll be at Kyalami after that, and we've got Nürburgring, Silverstone, Misano, and Monza to round off the season. So it's a pretty stacked season, but Suzuka is going to be an interesting one next time out. You'd think that there wouldn't be much overtaking at Bathurst because it's so tight at the top, and there was a lot of overtaking. And you'd also think the same of Suzuka, but maybe they will prove us wrong in 2 weeks.
Yeah, maybe they will. Suzuka, you definitely got a couple of overtaking opportunities into the final chicane and at turn 1 most notably, but it'll definitely be a little bit more tricky to overtake there than, the likes of Brands Hatch, and it'll probably be in a similar kind of regard to a circuit like Hungary, maybe slightly easier than Hungary to overtake at.
Yeah, I think just a little bit easier. There's a couple more straights in that one. But there you go. That has been your broadcast for the GTR24 Sprint Series here at Bathurst. We have spoken to 3 of the drivers now, and I think that all the drivers that were going to join us have joined us now. So I think we will we'll round it off here if that's okay with you, PR. I'm not really I can't quite hear you. Oh right, yes. Yeah, we'll end it with a lot of confetti, and then things will be good. So yeah, there you go. This has been your broadcast then for the GTR24 Sprint Series at Bathurst. Make sure you join us in 2 weeks' time, where we will be off to Suzuka. But until then, it's goodbye for now.